Welcome, welcome. Today we are going to be covering all sorts of stuff. If you've got hair, your question is going to be answered. We're going to talk about different products and which ones you should use, which ones might not work for you. We're going to talk about making thinner hair look thick. I've got a ton of questions from you, and I'm going to go through them today. But with that said, today is not just going to be about hair. Today is going to be a little bit about everything. So let me just back this up and introduce myself. If you aren't familiar with me, my name is Justin Hickox. I have been doing hair since 1995 professionally. So in this channel, I basically try to make hair simple for everybody else. And today I have a very special guest that's going to join us. Well, some of you already know, my fantastic wife, Deanna.
Hi.
Say hi.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's great to have you join the show.
Yeah, thanks for letting me join in.
So we do have a lot of questions. We reached out probably a few days ago and asked you folks, what questions do you have regarding hair? I'm going to try to break down all the answers I can. We got a lot of them. So before you start asking questions in the comments, okay, I do want you to do that. I want you to share what your name is, where you're from, where you're joining us today from, and some questions that you have. But hold off on that, because if you do it right now, I'm not going to be able to see them by the time we come back to get all these answered. So I appreciate you. Hey, Jen. Hey, Missy. Hey, everybody. Good morning from Long Beach, California.
Yeah.
Wish I was in Long Beach, California right now.
Yeah.
So,
Canada? Canada.
I don't think that's how you say it.
Canada. I don't know why I always say that. Canada.
Hello. Okay, so first of all, let's just dive into some of the questions that we have from email.
Perfect.
And then we'll dive into some of your questions as soon as we get through some of these. Again, a lot of them.
Will do.
Gianna here is going to ask all the questions, and I'm going to try to answer them.
Okay. So my hair is fine. This is from Sue. My hair is fine, thin, straight, and shoulder length.
Okay.
Getting married August 31st. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Exciting.
Yes.
And a friend is doing my hair. I want to keep the length, but add some style to it. What would you suggest?
I've got a lot of suggestions about that. Keep in mind that these are suggestions, right? This is not a right or wrong by any stretch of the imagination. There's a little bit that depends on if your hair right now is one length or if it's layered or what's going on with the shape. I'm going to assume that it's one length at that length range just for these purposes, and you'll get it in a sec. In that case, I would layer the front a little bit. The one thing you want to remember is that you're coming up on your wedding. You're going to have these photos for a very long time. Mm-hmm. You want to make sure that you don't do anything so drastic that you're unhappy with the way your hair looks on a special day like that. The thing about layering in the front is, even with your hair texture, if you layer some softness in the front, if you're pulling it back up, I'm assuming that you might be wearing it up, but even if you're wearing it down, it's going to give you a little bit more movement without getting you into the realm of a style change that might destroy everything for you. So layering in the front, great. I would first determine, if you're going to wear it up, kind of what direction you're heading in. And if you do have some pieces that fall, or maybe a piece that sweeps off and falls, where you want that to land, and then layer it appropriately, right? So if you want it to land at your cheekbone, you're going to put all your hair up. Have a piece that starts at your cheeks and then layers down into your hair. So kind of keep in mind when you're doing the front layers, what length you want them to be. The other big thing that I have, and I tell everybody that will listen about this, all my clients when it came to wedding hair, it's very rare that I see somebody that's got an overly contrived wedding style updo that looks natural. And the concern here is that you want to make sure that on your special day that you don't look totally different than you looked at the point where nobody recognizes you. You should look like basically a little bit more of a polished version maybe of what your day-to-day is. Something that's a little bit stands out, but it's just you even more beautiful than you already are. And so with something like that, just pay attention to how you're styling it. Have it styled in a way that looks like something that you might actually style, just maybe dialed up a notch.
And I would also add not to go with something that's super trendy. Because, what looks
How
cool
many
now,
prom hairs have you seen?
I mean, I have the bangs, the wrapped bangs and the side wings and the aquanet and all that stuff. And now I'm like, they're funny to look back on. Oh my gosh, the spiral perms. I have so many, prom pictures with the spiral perm, but,
yes.
Other
thing too, and your stylist I'm sure will tell you this, but if they don't for some reason, if you're going to have it put up and they're doing it on the big day, have your hair dirty. Don't wash it the day of. Mm-hmm. Make sure that you've got some product in there, something for them to get a hold on. You could also, if your hair is thin and fine, consider using some sort of hair wefts to add a little bit more texture and fullness to the overall shape. So just thanks for ideas.
Yeah.
What else we got?
All right. We got, can Deanna share her best tips and tricks that are helping her get through menopause?
Yelling at her husband. That seems to be one of the big ones. Is that
it works. He's been so great. It's definitely been a journey for both of us, right? So I think that that's something that we don't talk enough about is we as women, we're going through it, but our significant others, our families are kind of going through it too. And they're just kind of like trying to figure it out along with us, but we don't always share. So I say, one, really important, talk to your spouse, talk to your partner, talk to your family about what you're feeling. I think that that's really important because they can't read our minds, even though they should. Like I always think he should. Some of the things that have been helping me, because for me, what worked before perimenopause started doesn't work for me now. So like my workouts have changed, my nutrition has changed, my supplementations have changed, my self-care has changed. I prioritize sleep, which before I used to get up at 4:30 in the morning and I had my full-time job and my side hustle and all these things. And now I'm like, sleep is important. So self-care, making sure I'm getting enough sleep, supplementation. I do take HRT, so hormone replacement therapy. Yeah. That's really helped me. Strength training, huge. I used to be cardio queen, right? We all want to get skinny. And so like running, well, I never ran. No, we're not kidding here. But I used to do a lot of cardio workouts, and now I focus on strength training, being stronger so I can have not only strong muscles, but strong bones. And then nutrition. I haven't eliminated alcohol, but we together have decided to significantly reduce our alcohol consumption. So my sleep has been better because of that. Reducing the amount of sugar I consume has really helped as well. I think that has really helped me with my sleep, those two things. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
I think the biggest thing, and I don't want to take words out, like put words in your mouth, but I think it's just becoming a student, right? Recognizing that it's a different time of life. I'm not a female, but I can recognize that hormonal changes create a different time of life. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of factors involved, and just being ready to dive in and start questioning things. Like, what is going on? Why would this, or changing your lifestyle maybe completely, uncomfortably, I think is a massive thing. And that, it transcends just like, your body or, the way that you feel, but also like even into like your hair, every part of you it affects on some level.
Yeah, emotions have been like, I would definitely say up and down a lot. Not as bad as they were. There was a period that I was like crying uncontrollably, and I'm like, I don't know why. Like I'm working out, and as tears are just coming down my face, I'm like, why am I doing this? And so it's really helped. Like self-care has really helped a lot. Like before, I felt like I always needed to be busy. I always needed to be doing something. But I'm like, okay, I need to calm down. I take a lot more baths now, so it's like my opportunity. Well, he says I just like simmer in there for like 2 hours. But it's nice because I can decompress and be by myself. So I think that this is a phase of your life that is really important to make more time for you. Super important. Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's dive into the next one. So we got a lot of these to get through.
Okay. Oh boy. Okay. Hi Deanna. I've purchased several of the styling tools you use for my medium coarse hair, and they all work well. My question is, do you recommend hot combs like the Tymo Ring hair straightener comb I just purchased, and can you demonstrate how best to use it to straighten my hair properly?
First of all, thank you for the trust. Don't think that goes unnoticed, that people actually trust what I say and try to use the products that I'm telling you to use. So I appreciate that. The Tymo Ring, we've used it. We actually did a video with them. We worked with them. It was actually a really solid product. I was very surprised. Anytime you use any sort of heat product whatsoever, always make sure that you're using some sort of heat protectant, because they all have some level of damage that's going to come with them. That product worked really well. Do we have a brush up here? We don't. It's the only thing that we don't have up here is brushes. I have a whole video. I'll link the video in the description of this video once we're all done here. So give us about another couple hours after we're finished up with this. Check that link, and there'll be a link that shows you exactly how I used it. I used it on a client.
Tymo?
Yeah, for the Tymo Ring. And it was really, it shocked me. Yeah. I didn't expect much for it, if I'm totally honest. When they reached out, I was like, I don't know. I got it and I was like, I don't know. I used it and I was like, what? Okay. But it's a very specific use case. So watch that video. It'll give you a little bit deeper information.
For sure. Okay. Let's see. I'm 67 years old. And guys, I'm sorry. I have Invisalign, so sometimes I might spit. That happens. I'm 67 years old and developed cowlicks at my crown and bangs, preventing me from styling my hair the way I have always done. What is a remedy for this problem, cowlicks?
So cowlicks, one thing, and I talk a lot about this on my videos, so go back and watch some of the, I'll try to link another one if we can write this down. I'll link another one about where I deal with cowlicks specifically and kind of how you can manage them, some quick tricks. Okay. With that said, really, it's a matter of just not blow drying your hair in one direction. Go back and forth with it, all sorts of different directions. because that's going to help manipulate that cowlick a little bit. The more you just go into one direction, the more your hair is just going to do that. And if the cowlick is already splitting in that direction, even if it's splitting in the opposite direction in some way, it's still going to be much harder for you to get control out of it. So what we'd like to do is what's called non-directional, which basically just allows you to kind of do whatever you want with it. That very much goes for the bang area as well as in the crown. The crown, there are a couple other tricks where you can like use your fingers after you're all done, which I show you.
That too on,
exactly,
on
that's the one I was talking about. Yeah,
okay.
And you can actually pull your hair out, and it kind of gives it a little bit of control. Product is going to be key. You need something to actually get your hair to stay on some level where you put it. Color can also change that. Darkening the color, depending on if you are doing color or you want to. Darkening a lot of times can help to actually kind of hide that, depending on the color of your hair. So keeping in mind, or low lights and highlights can do the same thing. If you can just get the color to give it a little bit more dimension, so it's not so, it doesn't look like your scalp, then you don't see it as much, I guess, is what I'm getting at. But yeah, we'll link another video that shows you more in person or specifically how to deal with it as well.
I love, like, it almost made me teary. I tend to be an emotional person anyway, but Carolyn's like, I love watching you two talk about menopause. You sharing everything as a world. Love is first, hair second. So yeah, I think it's so important to have that conversation.
Yeah,
it's so
absolutely. Thank you, Carolyn.
Yeah, it means a lot. Peg asked, what is the best way to color gray hair that is extremely resistant to holding color?
So, okay, so Peg, first of all, let me back this up. I know a lot about hair, okay? I've been doing this a long, long time. I do color, but I wouldn't consider myself to be like an amazing color specialist. It's why I talk a little bit less about it on my channel. So there are some nuances to this. The standard practice, I would say, is it likely could, and there's a host of questions, but if you were my client, I'd come up with, well, what color have we been using? Is it maybe not pigmented enough? You know, there are a lot of lines out there, color lines that are more specific to hair that is a little bit more resistant. So it could be that. But then there's also little like tricks that I actually learned from our color specialist that I have. Her name is Danielle. She's at my salon.
She does my hair. She's amazing.
She's an amazing colorist. And she has shared tricks, which I honestly cannot remember right now. I'm so sorry. But when I heard them, I was like, that is absolutely the opposite of everything I ever learned. But she's been doing color, specializing in it for so long that she's picked up these little nuances just along the way.
Yeah.
Short answer, find a really good color, somebody that understands color, and find a colorist that understands color and gray hair. It's not the best answer. I apologize, but that would be the direction I would go.
And I would also say, I mean, as not a color specialist or an expert, there's also different levels, or there's like demi and semi and permanent and different.
So that's the pigmentation I was talking about. Yeah.
Okay. There we go. I just want to use fancy words, honey.
Yeah, you did. Good job.
Thanks. Would you consider doing Zoom personal consults with clients out of state?
This is actually something I already do.
Yeah.
I open up spots where the time is just like very limited. So when I have an opportunity, if you haven't, we'll put a link in the description as well where you can sign up for those if you want to be a part of them. But usually what happens is we send out an email to the group of people that are wanting to do this. If I'm completely honest, within 10 minutes, 15 minutes, the slots are filled. So it can be a little bit difficult. I do think I'm going to open up more of those in the future, primarily because there is a large interest in them. And
you love it.
I know, I enjoy it. I love meeting you guys. I love hanging out. I love talking. I love helping people. I love answering questions. So yeah, it's right up my alley. It's super fun. And we get yelled at for not putting the emails out at the right time of day because people that are on different coasts.
West Coast, yeah,
get them at different times. So we will try to open up more of those.
Yeah.
That was a very long answer. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's great. And I'm trying to convince him to do like a meetup or a meet and greet or a get together, right? Like a live thing. So if that's something you'd be interested in, like let us know because I think it would be awesome because I'm all about community.
Honestly, I would be down to do it. I just always tell him like, nobody wants to hang out with me. Like that's legit like how I would feel. I'd be like, nobody would show up. It'd be so awkward.
Well, if I wasn't your wife, I'd totally show up. But
yeah. But you're stuck with me all day anyway.
I'm stuck with you all day. This is a good question. How can I purchase the Hickox Amazon oil? I'm almost out.
So the Amazon oil is specifically, actually, I honestly don't know that we're still creating that.
Yeah.
The easiest way is if you go to my website, which is justinhickoxstudio.com, you'll actually find a phone number. I mean, we can leave it a link in the description as well, so write that down as well.
Mm-hmm.
You can give them a call and see, ask for John or Sharon and see if they're still ordering that, if we're still making it. If not, I do have another oil that I really like. The Hickox oil specifically is, I don't want to say it's heavy, but it's a thicker consistency, which is great in some cases. But there's another oil that...
I don't have it up here.
It's the only one that we don't have up here. I'll link that hair oil in the description as well.
It's called Wee, right?
Yep,
Wee.
it's called Wee. And it's actually been really great. It's light. It's a little bit lighter in consistency than my oil, actually. But with that said, it's actually lighter on the hair, but it still gives it a lot of shine, not control, but shine and separation. It's actually been like one of the big ones that I actually really like. So
yeah, perfect. So this is from Cindy. What products or procedures do we use for drying hair, like blow drying hair? I use the Dyson hair dryer and air wrap. Plus, I have blonde hair, only because my hairdresser colors my hair white. So she's got colored hair. What's the best way, products and tools to use for drying hair and the processes, which I think we have a video for as well.
Yeah, I'll link a couple of videos in the description as well, because there's a lot of follow-up questions to something like that, right? I would need to know what style your hair is, the specific texture, what your biggest problems and concerns are with it that you're dealing with. A lot of my makeover videos, so watch those, because I always go through in those videos how to style people's hair, and each person's a little bit different, but you're gonna find some similarities. One, like how you hold the round brush and the blow dryer, or how you hold the blow dryer and what you're using as far as a brush to get it dry. If you're using an air wrap or something like that, how to functionally use that. The only thing about those is they don't control air. The air just comes out of the middle of them, so it's a little bit harder sometimes unless you're using the blow dry function on it. But if you're using the actual brush function, it's a little harder to get that to control frizz, stuff like that. So keep that in mind, but we'll link some videos that actually show you a better way.
Yes, and I actually see in the comments right now, a few people are asking about the Just Defrizz, so I think we should... Yeah,
we'll hit that too. So the Amazon oil is not the Just Defrizz. It's actually a product we had probably 15 years ago we started creating. The Just Defrizz was a co-branded product that I created with another company. Since that, unfortunately, that company and I have parted ways. Still great terms, no hard feelings or anything like that. It's just that it means, though, that product is no longer being created. Now, with that said, I was trying to get the formula for that because I helped them develop it, but the lab owns the formula, so I can't access the formula to have it recreated. So I'm kind of hands tied. But I am working with the company right now on another product, and we're trying to figure out if we can get that product, and if so, then we'll start working on the Just Defrizz as well, and maybe even make it a little bit better. So
yes. And then people ask where we're located. So we're currently in Central Oregon, in the Bend, Oregon area. Beautiful, but we do have a salon in Portland, Oregon. That's usually where we film the makeover videos.
Yeah, the salon is in Portland, right across the street from Pioneer Square. Yeah. Mezzanine level.
Let's see. That's funny that we're talking about this. When will your root lifting hair products come out?
Oh.
I'm excited to get yours. So
I'll tell you what. When I come out with this product is for volume, and when I tell you that it is amazing, it's amazing. We had this product for 25 years or longer, maybe 30 years, and it was hands down the best product I have ever used to create volume. I've tried a lot of them. This was, it wasn't just because it was mine. I don't know if we got lucky, but it was what it was. It was just incredible. I have been trying, unfortunately, the company that was creating that, same scenario, that lab that created it, because it's an aerosol, was no longer able to create it. They stopped. We had to basically just say, sorry, it's discontinued. I can't do anything about it. I cannot get it created. I have been trying to find companies since then, working hard to find companies to create it. I think we've maybe found somebody that could do something similar, so we're working on it. I'd love to have it by the end of the year, but I'm not promising anything. It's probably not going to happen by then. Yeah,
Jen asked, what does your wife do for a career, if anything?
She doesn't do anything for a career. What are you talking about? You just hang out. I'm just kidding. Why don't you answer that? I don't have to tell them what you do.
I'm not good about talking about myself. I'll talk about you all day.
So Deanna has a couple of things that she does. One, we have a dog named Kevin. It's Kevin. It's Kevin the Burner.
ITS Kevin the Burner.
Yeah, on Instagram and TikTok. So she manages his page. She built a really strong following with him. And so she manages his page. She does all the content for that. She has her own Instagram page that she works with, does a lot of stuff on that. And then she manages all of my stuff as well. And then she manages all the house finance, because if I did it, then we would be broke. I'm really good at spending money. I'm not as good at saving money.
No.
I know my weaknesses.
Yeah.
She's very strong at
saving.
saving.
That's why I'm here. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see. Going through a major life change with a very recent loss of a spouse. This from Leslie.
Sorry,
Leslie. Mid-back length, layered, thick brown hair with natural wave and blonde highlights. I need a pick-me-up. Any recommendations?
So here's the thing about, it depends on how much layering you have, okay? If you've already got a lot of layering, then the only way you're really gonna see a difference in the overall shape is to bring the length up a bit and then take the layers up with it. The hard thing is, if you've got length to the mid-back, okay, and it's already layered, then let's say you layer it more. You can only layer it so much before it just no longer functions. It starts to look too thin, even with thick hair. Too thin at the bottom, the shape seems off, so you kind of end up with a little bit of tight hands. So then the way that you address that is to go a little bit shorter in the shape, in the length, so that now those layers going up shorter with it, you all of a sudden start getting into different shapes. But if you really want to see a difference, you see it two different ways. One, you either get it longer or cut it shorter. This goes for anybody, basically. That's the big difference. Or you change it in color. So it may be if you don't want to lose a lot of length, or you don't want to layer it more than it already is, color might be your option. And you might just switch up the color a bit, and that might give you a pick-me-up. Sometimes if you've got highlighted hair and it's dark brown, adding a tone in between. So if you got the highlights, something that's in between your natural color and that, or if you're already like a light brown, for instance, and you've got a highlight, then adding even darker colors to give it more depth and richness. A lot of times it doesn't have to be a huge change. A subtle change can still be enough to give you a feel of a pick-me-up.
Perfect. Do we want to answer some of the questions on here? I don't know if you have.
Yeah, let's see. Okay, we'll go back up through. There's gonna be a lot. I was gonna say, we'll get back to these. Okay. Sorry. If you're just joining us, my name is Justin Hickox. I've been doing hair for 30 years, almost a little bit more professionally. So today we're just going through all of your questions and answering everything that we can. If you have questions, please try not to put them in the comments yet. We're gonna get through some of these that we got on email. Then we're gonna hop over to these comment sections, and otherwise they're gonna get buried because there's already a lot of them coming in. So.
Okay. So I have this is from Connie. I have coarse, thick hair. How should my hairstylist cut my hair for a bob? I have long layers, but she tends to layer my ends too much. She stacks it a little. Also, what shampoo and conditioner and hair product should I use?
Great question. So the reason that you feel like she layers the ends too much, which is not a bad thing, this is actually pretty common. The concern, I should say, with that is when you have coarse hair, you tend to have a little bit of frizz, or it looks like it can look frizzy. The issue with that is if those layers or those ends are too texturized, they'll actually look even frizzier. It'll actually make your hair look like it's even more damaged almost when it's not, or more frizzy. So having a little bit of stronger ends is actually a better move in that scenario. The amount of fullness that you might have, depending on how coarse and thick your hair is, at the bottom is gonna dictate a little bit of how much layering you do. So if your hair is really thick and it's a bob shape, a lot of this is gonna be determined by your face shape too. If your face is full, keep the length longer than your face, than your chin, take more bulk out of the bottom. Now bulk and thinning your hair out are two different things. Bulk means you layer it, the ends can still be strong, but it's just that there's not enough hair to reach the bottom line, so there's less hair to get full around your cheeks. Okay? If your face is a little bit on the longer side, bring that length up a little bit closer to your chin. You can have a little bit of extra fullness in there. It's okay to not thin that or take the bulk out as much because you want to add a little bit of fullness on the side, but just pay attention to how much, and if you feel like you're getting too full in the face, then you want to just layer the top layers a little bit shorter so that, again, they just don't reach far enough down to create bulk in here. But I'm with you on the over-thinning thing. That's not uncommon. It happens so often. It's probably one of the biggest things that happens is overly texturizing. A smoothing gel and a volumizing product are actually going to be some of your favorite, or smoothing cream and a volumizing product is going to be your favorite because you still need volume. So a lot of people with thick, coarse hair feel like they don't want any volume. I've already got big hair. No, you've got full hair. But doesn't mean volume is in the right places. And when you start getting volume in the right places and taking it out of other places, you start creating shape, and that's what works or does not work with your face shape. So a little bit of volume at the top, so some gel or mousse, something to create volume at the top. I've got one right here. This is actually one of my favorites, the Caviar Volume. I'm a big fan of this for volume so far. It's not gonna be as good as the one that I come out with, but that's beside the point. But so far it's been great. Using that on the top, and then actually laying the sides in really flat. A video that we'll link as well. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. There's so many videos to link here.
That's okay.
But a video that we'll link actually shows the process that I did on her hair. And that's the same process I would use on this scenario, is I would actually lay those sides in real tight, smooth them out, get the volume on the top with the product and some bend, not curl, but bend. And then you'll be golden.
Yeah.
Last thing, sorry. You also need moisture in your hair. So frizz or coarseness in hair tends to need more moisture, and sometimes coarse hair It's just that we don't produce enough moisture to actually give it the moisture necessary. So making sure that you leave like a leave-in conditioner, something like this is a great one, right? So spray that in, and that you're conditioning your hair once a week or so with a deep conditioner to give your hair the moisture that's necessary to help combat some of that dryness as well.
Perfect.
That was a long answer.
Yeah, well, like I was telling you today when I was doing my hair, I almost like style my hair as if I'm styling 2 different hairstyles.
Yes.
So I do like just the waves on the top, but I'm doing flat on the bottom, and yeah, I do the mousse, and then I do like a styling cream down.
Yeah, maybe we'll do another video about actually how she does her style, because it's a little different than some of the techniques that I've shown so far on the
Mine's the right way.
Hers is hers is a way, and it works for her, so it's the right way.
It works for me. Let's see. Jean, I love your tutorials. They're easy to follow, and I learn something new every time I watch. I currently have a perm and would like to know the best way to style my hair straight or with big curlers for variety. My hair is healthy now, and I don't want to mess that up.
So first things first, you've got a perm. Depends on the amount of curl that you have in the perm. Just a body perm, it's going to be a lot easier. The system's going to basically be the same. You get out of the shower, you towel blot your hair, work in any sort of heat control product or heat protecting product. So you're going to spray that through, then you're going to put in whatever control product, gel, mousse, something like that, to give your hair actual volume again in the right areas. Right? And then if you want to use like a leave-in conditioner or something like that, you can. If you were, I would put that before the volume product, so that would go as in step number 2. Then you're going to dry your hair. Basically, you're just going to get it dry. So you're not using, you can use a brush, like I have a volumizer brush I love to use, but something just to start to smooth it out. But really your goal is just, I'm going to get my hair basically 80% dry. I know it's wavy or even curly, and I know that there's a lot of people that say, you can't start to dry. If you're going to round brush or straighten curly hair, you got to straighten it from the time that it's wet to the time that's dry. Start immediately as it's dripping wet to start blow drying that straight. 30 years, I've worked on so many different curl patterns. I'll tell you, get it 80% dry, you're going to be shocked how much straighter you can still get it, and it's a lot faster. So don't worry about it. Get it dry, and then use a round brush. Just make sure that you're pointing that airflow down the hair shaft, not at the hair shaft. So if this is your round brush and hair is wrapping around this, your blow dryer, the airflow needs to go down the hair, not at it and not up against it towards the scalp. This is the most important part. It can be close to the hair, but down the hair. This is still at your hair on some level, okay? That is one of the things that's going to keep your hair from getting damaged the most. And then it's just a matter of getting tension in there, pulling that out and round brushing it and making sure you have tension, and you'll get it straight, no problem. The curlers are going to be similar. I would get it dry and get most of the curl out of it first, because if you just wrap it up in a curler, right, with it being curly when it's wet, you're still going to have like a wave in your hair. You're not going to get it totally straight. So smooth it out a bit first, and then just use those to basically set in the little bit of bend that's going to give you a little bit more volume and a slightly different look.
Perfect. And always use a heat protectant. I don't know if you said that.
I think I did, but if I
don't know.
I did.
Sometimes I tune them out, and then I'm like, oh, words. I get squirrely. Hi, I was wondering what cream blushes for cheeks do you recommend for senior ladies? Thank you so much. I love your haircut. Oh, thank you. I'm actually having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. And actually, people said that this is a high maintenance hairstyle. It literally is the easiest hairstyle. So I took a shower today and I washed it and put some curls in it. I literally, when I get up in the morning, I don't ever brush my hair anymore. I literally just go, because I like the messy look.
She doesn't brush at all.
I go like this, and then I take texturizing, and I just mess it up, and then I'm like, and then I just play with it. I mean, now I probably I can't see, but, and I like it because I like big hair, and I cannot lie, because I have stick straight hair. So I love it. Anyways, thank you. Cream blushes. So the one that I actually use right now that was recommended by all my makeup guru friends is this Anastasia cream blush, and I really like it. I actually ended up buying a second one because I loved it so much. So this is like a really neutral. I feel like it could work on most people's skin tone, but it's just really nice. I just put like just a little line, and then I just take a brush and I blend it up and out. But these are really, really good, so I'll be sure to link those. And if you have any recommendations for any other ones, definitely let me know, because I'm all about playing with makeup.
Another video. We'll link in the description below the makeup, the hairstyling tutorial. She walked through her whole makeup process, what she uses, how we do it, how she does it, all the things.
Okay, makeup.
Just give us a couple hours after this ends to get all of these links up, because it's gonna be a lot.
And then, let's see, sorry. What is the product that gives fine hair volume, Justin?
I mean, this. So it needs to be a volumizing product. Fine hair is not necessarily different in terms of volume than other products than other hair textures. You're going to use something depending on, whatever functions best for you. That was such a pointless answer. But point being is that even if you have medium hair textures, what I'm getting at, right? Medium or coarse, and you're trying to get volume, you still need a product that has the control enough to give you volume. Fine hair is the same way. It's not a different product necessarily, because when you're trying to get volume, it's different than trying to like smooth hair out or something like that. If it's volume, it needs to function to get volume regardless of your texture. Fine hair, you just might need something a little bit stronger, and this actually works really well. The caviar, we'll link it in the description, but that actually works really well. Just make sure that you use enough of it is the biggest thing, and that all of the steps that you're doing, creating bend, blow drying your hair upside down, getting a little bit of root lift, but all of those have to add up to help that function. And if you don't do all of the other steps, the volumizing products, regardless of which one you're using, typically aren't always enough to give you real volume. They just make your hair a little bit bigger. I don't know if that makes sense.
I wanted to say thank you to C Lace.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. That was nice. You didn't need to do that. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
So sweet. Okay, so this is a really interesting question. I'm excited to see I think I know what your response is going to be, but let's see. This is from Agnes. Love your channel.
Thank you.
The nature background is a pleasant bonus.
Thank you.
Please recommend products and or tips for no heat air drying. We are dealing with mid-length, layered, menopausal, half wavy, half straight hair. Looking for a smooth, soft, frizz-free hair. No sticky gels or sprays. Must be able to run my fingers through it. I wash my hair twice a week, so nothing that will make it oily faster.
You're not going to like this one. You're not going to. Okay, so first of all, I need to preface this because people need to understand, I need to make sure that you understand that I am not a product junkie in all reality. If I can find the less products, to me, honestly, is better. I'm not a person that thinks that everybody needs to go out and buy all of the things and do all of the things. Like, I've never been a stylist that tried to get clients back in my chair as soon as I possibly could just so that I can pad my income. That was just not how I thought. It's never who I've been. Same thing goes with this. But what I am about is managing expectations because it's just going to cause frustration. There are no product, period, unfortunately, that is going to do all of that if you've got the texture of hair that you're currently dealing with right now. Frizz is going to be one of the hardest things because you need to have something. Okay, so read it again just so I can get all of the different. Otherwise, I'll miss some of this.
No heat air drying.
Okay.
Mid-length, layered, halfway down, straight, half wavy hair.
Okay.
Looking for a smooth, soft, frizz-free hair.
Yeah.
No stickies, gels, and then she wants to run her fingers through it, which would cause frizz.
Well, not after it's dry, not as bad, but yes, it will still add it. So whatever product is going to control the frizz from an air drying perspective has to have enough control to be able to do that. Are there products that are going to feel more crunchy in the hair after they've dried versus break down to be a little bit softer? Absolutely. But there's still going to be some texture in it. So here's actually what I would tell you to do instead of this, and it will get you very close. Use a product that is more of like you got to think we're going to go wavy here. We're going to air dry, so there's going to be a certain amount of wave to it. And you're going to use a product that, and there's a lot of products out there, but you're going to use a product that has some control. The caviar mousse actually would work. There's also I don't think we have it here, but there's some products, I'll link curly hair products.
Oh, okay.
That could work as well to give you a little bit of actual control over the frizz. What you have to remember is from the time that your hair is wet to the time that it is dry, the typical reason that I tell people letting hair air dry can be a little bit problematic when it comes to controlling frizz is because every single thing that happens in between the time it's wet to the time it's dry is either taking away frizz, managing frizz, or adding frizz. And the misconception here is that there's something in between. Well, it's not doing either. And it is. It's either every single thing that you do, having the window down in the car when you're driving to work, literally everything is somehow either enhancing the frizz that you're going to see or minimizing it. So you're 100% reliant on the product that you use to help control that because you're not actually flat ironing it straight or using any sort of round brush to smooth the cuticle down. You're relying on the time that your hair takes to air dry to just not add more frizz. And therefore the product that you're using has to be that force that's taking the frizz away. if that force that's taking the frizz away is so light that it actually, you don't feel it at all, it has no control over that texture. And it's gonna be like you just used nothing, right? So if you want your hair to feel like nothing in your hair, then you can't use a product that's gonna feel like anything, and therefore the product that you use is gonna do nothing because it feels like nothing. So use a product that's got a little bit more control over it, but can break up soft. You're gonna let it air dry. You're not gonna touch your hair or manipulate it in any way, as little as possible during the air drying process. When it gets done, you're gonna take a tiny bit of an oil. Again, we've got one link that I like from right? You're gonna take a tiny little bit of oil in your hands, and then you're gonna break up the product or break up your hair and kind of, because your hair should dry a little bit on the crunchy side once it's totally dry. You're gonna break that product up with that oil. What the oil is gonna do is help to break up the feeling so it doesn't feel like there's as much product in your hair. So it'll feel a little bit softer, it'll have some shine. As much of the frizz that's gonna be controlled will be controlled, but that's really as close as you're gonna get to having it just air dry, simple and perfect.
Okay. This is from Macy, for a chin length bob haircut, how do I drive, and I think we have a video on this, how do I dry the back of my hair using a round brush and a blow dryer? Specifically, where do I place the dryer against the brush to get smoothness? Which you kind of...
Yeah, so you're gonna put your hand back here. It's gonna be really awkward, I'm not gonna lie, because you gotta be able to put your hand back here and then get your other hand up. But the hardest part is getting the blow dryer up above the hair and pointed down towards the floor. Because what you want to do is drop your elbow, right? Because this is a lot easier to do. This is what you need to do. So point the air down the hair shaft at the floor, seal it down, and whatever you do, just don't point it up at it like this, which is what people want to do. Depending on how much volume you want in the back of your nape though area, you might not want actually that much. So you might actually not really need to round brush it at all. You might be able to just blow dry it in circles to help it to lay under, and then just take a brush and just kind of try to brush it, or use your hands against your scalp or against your skin actually, to just point the air down and wrap it against your neck. And that actually can smooth it out a little bit. And then the hair up here above the occipital bone, that bone that's in the back of your head, that bump, everything above that, then you can round brush that under, and it'll actually make the nape of your hair lay in a little bit more. And that many times can actually create the illusion from the profile that there's more, as if there's more volume in the crown. So it's kind of a double whammy there.
Yeah, and that's what I do with mine. I don't round brush it at all.
If you haven't seen, we just did a video that's super popular. It's a couple weeks old where we styled her hair, and I did stuff like that. And I can't tell you how many people have said you cut her hair, because I showed it before of not doing it and manipulating her hair.
With like really round brushed.
And then after we had blow dried it, and they're like, "Oh, those are two different haircuts." I was like, "Yeah, no. Like my channel is based on your trust. I didn't choose this video to ruin the trust.
Yeah.
Like it's not fake."
So this is from Marcy. You suggest using the Pureology leave-in spray. Should I also use conditioner after washing my super fine, thin, bob length hair?
That is actually a really good question, because a lot of people are very fearful with thin, fine hair when you've got when you're talking about conditioner. So think of most leave-in conditioners or sprays like this as a very, very light conditioner, a little bit of heat protection. This one actually doesn't have all that much heat protection, so I wouldn't rely on it for that. But it's kind of like a little bit of extra, but I wouldn't consider it to be the driving conditioner that you should be wearing. I would use something maybe once a week, because your hair is going to need a little bit more to really get that moisture back into it. Mm-hmm. You basically have or detangling conditioners, something you use in the shower, that are very gentle, but really they're just meant to help make the hair slick so you can get a comb through it. Then like leave-ins that are a little bit more moisture. Then you have like real conditioners that are like a little bit stronger. Then you have deep conditioners and stuff like that go even harder. So monitor your hair. If it feels like it's in good condition, just do what you're doing. If you feel like it's a little bit dry, once a week, add in an actual conditioner, and then just use the leave-in on a day-to-day basis when you're styling your hair.
Okay, so this is a good one. This is from Susan. Since I grew out my silver hair, I feel very pale and now want to add some color back in. Without going to all one color again, what is the best way and color to use to bring color back in? I am truly all white with no pepper left. Do I blend the white with blonde tones?
Simple answer is no. You don't blend it with blonde tones, and I'll tell you why. That is a very common thing. When you lighten, so your hair is already light. So first of all, and I've had clients that we did this on, you add light tones, they fade out really fast, and they end up actually just making everything look almost too bright. It's almost like it takes some of the color away from your skin tone. What looks amazing, and I've used it, should we add one more video to it?
That's why I've already referred to the perfect bob video.
I did a video where I had a client that is in your exact position. She had a little bit more pepper in her hair. But we did lowlights, and it's what I told everybody to do, and it is absolutely striking. She was very concerned about doing it because she did not want to color her hair, and she loved it because it looked gorgeous. But the thing about lowlights is when you're doing them, and I talk about this in the video, you don't do, if you're a natural brown, you still go quite dark. You don't do like a light brown. You go almost black, and it seems crazy. But if you don't do, you just do very fine amounts. I go through all of this in the video, so make sure you watch it. But if you do very small amounts and you do it where, like you can kind of see where the old hairs, many times you can see where there's a little bit of gray. You just kind of add it in where it would have been natural or wherever you want it. You just don't do it on the part line. So I would not do,
That's okay.
Deanna's hair up here. I would do it all below on the side. And then I would do, if it's a bob shape, for instance, I would do a lot more, like I would do more down here. It gives this a lot more strength and dimension, but then I also would keep it away from anything like around the hairline. So when you pull it back, you'll still see some dark pieces, but you'll never feel like you have grow out. And since it's not on your part line, you'll never see the grow out. It basically just fades away. One day you realize that your hair feels light again, and then you redo it if you want to do it, or you don't do it. But it is amazing at adding depth and richness to skin tones. It's a game changer. And once I've done it on a client, there's not one that has not wanted, like, they try to get it done too often. Can I get more? I'm like, no, because we can't take it out. It has to it'll start just to be dark if you keep on doing it. You can only do it like once every handful of months because you can't just redo the ones you did last time. Your stylist is going to add a little bit more inevitably every time. And if you do it too often, it'll just get darker, darker, darker. You'll become dark all of a sudden. Mm-hmm. So, but it's amazing.
Okay, so this is from Carol about makeup. No matter how I apply it, with primers, brushes, sponges, fingers, I cannot get a flawless foundation finish. Does Deanna have any tips? So, kind of. I'm newer to makeup, so I'm definitely not an expert by any means, but I do have some amazing friends that are experts in that field. And so they have helped teach me along the ways. And a couple things that I'm learning that have really helped me, because before nobody ever commented on my skin or my skin tone or anything like that, but making a couple changes, people are like, oh my gosh, what are you using? What are you doing? And I'm gonna say it's the brushes. So our girlfriend, Lisa J, is a creator.
She's awesome. Such a sweet person.
Founder of BK Beauty. And so of course I have all of her brushes. I've got, I call them my girls. We've got the Nikki LaRose, we've got the Angie Hot and Flashy, and then we've got the Lisa J. And they're amazing. And so like I have, like this is the one that I use when I'm putting on my tinted sunscreen, any foundations. This has really helped. And I don't know why, like I don't know the magic behind it, but like when I put it on, like I concentrate just on this area. So I'll put the foundation or the tinted moisturizer right in this area, like in the middle of my face. And then I tap all this area and then I swirl it to blend it out. I learned that from Lisa J. And it just helps make it look really smooth. I also don't like a full coverage foundation, so it kind of depends on what you're looking for. Are you looking to cover up something? Do you still want to have like a natural finish? So I did bring two of this is my tinted sunscreen moisturizer that I really love. This was recommended by Angie Hot and Flashy that I love. It's Say, and it gives you like a glowy finish. So if you have dry skin, it's great. If you've got oily skin, you probably wouldn't like this, honestly, but my skin just sucks in the moisture. Yeah. So I really love this on like a daily. And then this is the one that it's got makeup all over it. This is one that Nikki LaRose recommended, and it's a Giorgio Armani. And it's what I'm wearing right now, and it feels like a second skin, but it has a little bit more coverage, but for me, it's not full coverage because I don't really like that full coverage look. So I think it's what you're using, what do you want to achieve, and get product based upon that. But I'm saying the brush application and getting the right brush is huge.
Sidestep on those brushes too. We've spent time with all of these the brushes that are like the Nikki LaRose brush, right? With Nikki and with Angie and with Lisa. And the other cool thing I think about these brushes is totally unrelated to the way that they function. But when you buy those, you're supporting people that are legitimately good human beings.
And I love them so much. I'm going to cry because I love them. I'm going to see them next month. I'm so excited.
No, I mean, like, we didn't know them before we spent time with them at a house. We all just kind of convened together and we were all hanging out for a few days.
Yeah.
And just, like, being around them, like, They were surprising. They are legit. And now we've been in a text thread with them. We talk to them all the time. They're just good humans, like good, kind, honest people. Yeah. So I'm always a fan of like...
You're not only getting a good product, you're also supporting
good
small business and really people that make an impact in the world more than you would know. So it's really, really super awesome.
All right. I do want to hit one question up here real quick while you're grabbing, you go and find. Let me go back up here and find it. I just saw it. And side note, we're going back and forth. We're going to be answering questions here, and then we're going to come back afterward because I saw somebody else.
East Coast Mama's here. Hey, Linda.
Hey, what's up, Linda? I saw somebody ask, are we answering questions from the live or here? We're going to do both. We're going to get to them. I did see. Now I've got to find. Hey, Barbara. Also, thank you so much for the super sticker. That was so nice of you. I really appreciate it. So kind, you know. Pure character lifting some weights, saying keep it up. I like it. Thank you. Okay, I apologize for who asked this because I will not be able to find who it was. So I apologize for not saying. Oh, wait a minute. There it is. Dana Liz asked, is there really a difference between shampoos? And I wanted to answer this specifically like I saw it. Simple answer, I honestly don't know. But let me back that question up a little bit. So there are, in the 30 years of doing hair and seeing people come in with using different shampoos and using them in the salon and then building out shampoos, there are definitely some shampoos that I've noticed are problematic, that dry your hair out, that add a Pantene Pro V, the old school, was like the absolute biggest offender of this. But they would actually build up on your hair with a waxy buildup to try to make it shiny that caused all sorts of problems underneath. Now, with that said, are there a difference in shampoos? Yes, absolutely there's a difference in shampoos. Does the price that you pay for a shampoo obviously equate or directly equate to the kind of product that you get? I honestly don't know. And in fact, if I'm completely honest, I would love to do some deeper insight into this. We have a friend that's also a creator named Glam Girl Gabby, but Gabby and her dad's a scientist by trade, and they were looking into this a little bit, and I want to get more information from her. Maybe I'll have her on a live and we can talk about this exact thing. But it's very interesting to me. I don't know. There's so many out there that I can't look through all of them. But I do know that there are sometimes when people come in, I'm like, that shampoo does not work. It is absolute trash. It's killing your hair. But also then there's a level of, not every shampoo works for every person. So just because your shampoo, let's say you've got coarse hair and you need more moisture, well, a shampoo that works for you might not work for the person that has oily scalp and has all this moisture and has like not coarse hair, right? Maybe it has thin, fine hair. So there is a level of that too, that shampoos are not made the same. But my only question in there is just that I don't know that spending more naturally gets you a better product. That's the part that I want to learn.
Yeah. And I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but I have like 2 to 3 different shampoo and conditioners in my shower. Yeah. And so like I'll do a clarifying like once or twice a month, and then I have ones that are more moisturizing. But I like take it how my hair is responding. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, it's feeling a little drier, and then I'll maybe use like a moisturizing, and then. And
that's why, like, if I don't know if you've noticed, if you've been around the channel for a while, you might have noticed I don't ever do sponsorships or collaborations with shampoo companies. I can't tell you how often people send me shampoos and want me to talk about them on the channel, and I always say no. I say I don't want anything to do with it. But the reason for that, there's one that I talk about, which is Hair Story, New Wash. I've talked about them forever. It's because I know the brand, I know the company, I know the people that created. I don't personally know them, but I know where they came from, and so I'm like, yeah, and I've been using it on my hair. But it takes months and months of really working with the shampoo to really see what it does, because there's so many other factors out there, which is why I want to talk to a scientist and really like break this down, because I'm not a scientist. Yeah. I'll tell you when I don't know something, but when I do know it, I'm gonna tell you that too.
Yeah, you will. What is the biggest, this is from Victoria, what is the biggest challenge working in the hair beauty industry?
Ooh, as a male or just in general? Because those are two different things.
Yeah.
Right? The biggest challenge, I think, was learning communication. So I think the biggest challenge for most stylists working in the beauty industry is just really understanding like how to communicate with the client and pushing aside their like natural desire to just, you know, hey, I want to push my artistic expression onto you, and being able to set that aside and say, I need to understand what you need and what you want to make you feel good, and then try to marry my artistic expression with that somehow and give it up where I don't deserve to be having that in the conversation, right? As a male, dude.
It's good and bad. It's got pros and cons.
Yeah, I think in some cases it was easier for me to maybe build a clientele, because I think there's a group of women, because that was primarily my clientele, maybe 70% women, 30% male, There's a group of women that wanted a man's like opinion on it and wanted to see male stylists. Then there's a group that just didn't care. Like, I don't care who you are, I just want a good stylist. But then there's also definitely a group that are very much like on my videos, like I can't say something.
Mostly, I think it's
and I'm mansplaining.
Yeah,
like,
I think it's a separate. I think when you're in the salon space, it's probably there's some benefits to being a male in that space.
No, I'd say it's very much the same as online.
You think?
Oh, 100%.
Or people are just more vocal online.
Yeah, they just say it. They won't say it to you when you come into the salon. Because I've had tens of thousands of clients.
Yeah.
So they've all been new at some point.
Right.
And so I'm very much aware, like you can pick up when you walk out to somebody and they've never met you before. After I got a YouTube channel and started, or building my clientele really, but then moved into YouTube or started like whenever it's on TV or whatever, people would start recognizing you. And then they trust you a little bit more. They walk in, they're like, I already know you, I'm going to trust you. But before, when I first started out, and they did not know me at all, and I'm just a guy, I got all the looks. Some you could tell were excited, and some were just like, deer in headlights.
Yeah.
Who is this guy? It probably doesn't help that I'm all tattooed, but at the very beginning, when I first started, I looked so young, I kid you not, this is a dead serious story. I used to wear full 3-piece suits to work every day. Like I didn't have any tattoos. I'd wear glasses. They were fake so that I would look older and look more professional. I did all the things trying to get attention, or not attention, but trust. Probably attention too, right?
Yeah. Oh, okay. So this is from Sharon. Hi, Justin. I've recently completed my last round of chemotherapy.
Congratulations. Yes.
Get that. My hair began to fall out during my treatment, so I've shaved my head. Okay. What can I do to promote hair growth, and can you recommend any scalp care products? I appreciate any advice you can offer me.
I'm
going to pipe in really quick, and I'm going to encourage you to, if you're on Facebook, to join our Facebook community. There's actually a woman in there that is going through the same process, and she's sharing it, and her hair is phenomenal. It's the most beautiful white, and she's rocking it.
It's so gorgeous.
So I mean, yeah. So we'll put a link into the Facebook community as well. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm going to sidestep this question a little bit because I honestly think that this is a scenario where I don't want to tell you things to put on your head, only because after going through chemo, there's a lot of things medically that are going on that I'm unaware of, and I would not want to lead you in the wrong direction on that. And there's nothing, even if it's natural, all that stuff, I'd say defer to better judgment, defer to a dermatologist, to your doctor, to somebody, ask them kind of what direction you would go with that. What I will tell you is that expect your hair to grow back an entirely different texture. Okay, it's probably going to be very, very ringlet curly and coarse and just something very different than what you've ever had before. And also, what I would say, like the best advice I could give aside from how to make it grow faster would be that as it grows, start having fun with the stylist. Don't just let it grow. Like let it get a little bit longer, and then as soon as you can start like cutting the side shorter and doing something a little bit different, start playing with the way that you style it, the way you cut it, and the different styles you're wearing. Because what you're going to do is you're going to go through different length ranges, and then maybe you get to a bob length. Maybe that was your end goal. You're like, I just want to get my hair grown back out into this length because that's what I had before. But on that journey, getting there, you're likely, because I've seen this happen multiple times, you're going to find a length that you go, how could I have ever had longer hair? This is amazing. But if you don't cut it into different shapes, it's just going to be a hair growing out, and it's not going to be shaped for you. And you'll never find those little hairstyles that could just be amazing on you. So have fun and play with it. Start getting excited about the fact that you get to work now with different shapes that you might never have done in the past. And I also could be very much talking out of my rear end on that, because who knows, maybe you had really short hair and you've always been doing something weird with it. So I apologize if that's true.
Oh, here's a personal question from Marnie. How did the two of you meet?
Facebook. Yes. That's such a long story. The short answer is Facebook, and our first date started as one date and turned into 7.
I think it's 7.
7 dates in one night. We literally it just kept on extending it.
We were just supposed to go to like an early dinner or late lunch, and then it turned into, Do
you want to go to church? Do you want to go do here?
Do you want to go to coffee? Then it was dinner, and then it was like dessert after dinner, and then,
So
that's funny. Even with the tattoos and all, I'm just like,
And she thought that I was out of jail.
Yeah, because I was a single mama too, and I was kind of, you got your guards up, mamas, and I was like, oh, he's kind of cute, but he's got tattoos. Clearly, he's done some time in jail.
That says more about your terrible decision making, though. Honestly,
no, it just means
why would you?
No, all it does is tells me that I was very at the time I had a very narrow mindset of what tattoos represented, and now I think they're beautiful. But we all have those judgments, and we grow and learn from them. So
fair.
Did you want to start going some of those?
No, go ahead.
Hi, Justin. Enjoy your videos. My hair color is like Deanna's. Any product can be used in between hair color for roots on top of my head, just like dark and a little silver. Like, so.
Are you trying to? If you're just trying to, like, hide the color grow out, is that? Read it again. Sorry.
Sorry. Now I gotta find it again. Okay. Is there any product that can be used in between hair color for roots only on top of my head? It's just a little darker and silver. So she's got my color hair,
okay,
but just grow out.
And so if you're just trying to manage the grow out, then yes, powders, hair mascaras, stuff like that, all of those can work. I have a tendency to lean towards the powders. Very much specifically, I lean towards the ones that have a spray on them. So you're not trying to like just, of course you don't have any of those here either. You're not just trying to like salt and pepper shaker that stuff onto your scalp. That would definitely be the way that I go. Powders, spray over the mascaras, because the mascaras, they do a really good job of like hiding the grow out. It's going to be a little bit more challenging because you're talking about trying to make something look lighter versus darker. So that's always a little bit of a risk. But yeah, powders would go the fast way. Basically, just find Topics makes a great one. We'll throw a link to that as well in here. But it's actually, I use it for most people to make their hair look denser. So if you're thinning, then that's when we would use it. But you can definitely use it to cover up roots. And you would just go for the color of the blonde. You would order the one that was the color of the lightest piece, and then you would just spray that on that little area in the morning. It doesn't really rub off on your fingers too bad or anything like that. It's not gonna like run on your forehead. It's great. It'll make it look a little bit denser. And yeah, it absolutely helps.
So this is Kevin. So we were talking about him earlier. He's got his Instagram, so you can go. I'll share that link.
High five.
Yeah.
There it is.
So I'll share the link so you can check him out. He brings positive vibes. I wanted him to be a therapy dog when I first got him, but he's afraid of people. So we created an Instagram and TikTok page, and so we call him a virtual therapy dog because he makes people smile online. So
he's the sweetest boy.
Yeah.
All right, let's hop to another question. And then we're going to get to some of these questions live. So if you're just joining us or you've been just for a couple minutes, we are going to get to the questions that you're asking in the comments in just a second. I really appreciate you guys hanging out while you're waiting for that.
Okay, let's see. Do you have a hairstylist you can recommend in the San Francisco Bay Area by chance?
I have a list that we will link as well that you can grab. So many links. Where you can actually find a group of people that I've listed. I don't know exactly who's in the Bay Area specifically, but there's likely some around that area if there's not one in the Bay Area.
Okay. What is the best way to? We kind of addressed this. What is the best way to dry naturally curly hair and then revive it the next day? So like sleeping on it. Yeah.
So first of all, like natural curly hair, I'm going to hit on this. And then reviving it is going to be a little bit different. But it's kind of what we talked about before. You get out of the shower. There's a lot of different methods, right, to drying naturally curly hair. So once you get out of the shower, the step-by-step is going to be whatever has been working best for you. Whether it's like plopping it or rather, what kind of towel you're using. Right? I don't have a specific way that I think this is the end-all, save-all to it. Whatever's functioning for you, do that. But after that point, then you're going to be applying product at some point. So apply the product. Make sure you get it on every hair, roots to ends. That's probably the biggest thing. Then you're going to either diffuse it. You're going to diffuse it. How you go about diffusing it is, again, going to be up to the amount of curl you want. Right? So let's just assume that you want it to, you scrunch in the curl, that's your process. You put the product in, you scrunch in the curl, you get the shape that you're looking for, and now you're just trying to diffuse that specific curl pattern into your hair. What you're going to do is then hold the diffuser out, and you're just using that to minimize the air flow so that it just heats up this general area a little bit more and gets your hair dry a little bit quicker. Once it's totally dry, not hot, okay? When your hair gets dry, curly hair, and you're diffusing it, it's going to feel hot at the end. You're going to think it's dry, but more often than not, if you let it cool down, you'll realize that there's still some moisture at the core there where it might not have gotten dry because of the product you used. And then when you go to scrunch it up, you're going to get frizz. So make sure that it's totally cold and dry. At that point, then you can go in and you can scrunch your hair up and break that product up to get the overall softer curl that you're looking for. The keys are just do not touch your hair while it's drying. If you're trying to get more curl, enhanced curl, you're not using your hands to scrunch it up to do this. You can do that, but you're going to get an inherent amount of frizz with it as well. So just understand that that's going to come with it. If you're trying to get more curl, you're going to hold the diffuser up and you're going to use the diffuser to lightly set your hair in and then use that up and down to get a little bit more curl in the areas that you want to see more curl, making sure that you hold your hair off to the side to get the gravity to get your hair off your scalp so it's not flat to your head and then just big at the bottom, right? Once you do all that, the next day is just going to be a matter of how frizzy your hair got the day before, or how much kind of you need to redo it. So an oil, sometimes just working an oil through your hair, depending on if your hair is loosened up from the curl or not. An oil alone can control some of the frizz, give your hair some more shine. You should be good to go. If you need to get a little bit more aggressive with it, then you would spray it down, dampen it down a little bit, maybe even reapply product, and then diffuse it again to kind of help control that. But unfortunately, the day after is really gonna be more of a matter of like what's going on with it at that time, because there's gonna be different processes depending on how much of your hair fell out or how frizzy it is or how much, you know, you were out in the elements with it, you know, so I don't know if that part helped at all.
Okay, so last question, and it's a little bit of a longer one. So Maria says, I have a bob right now that I'm not happy with. I think I'm confusing my stylist with what I'm asking for. What I want is a bouncy, soft bob similar to the 90s bob. I have thick hair with some wave in it. The default that my last stylist gave me was beveled, so all the pieces go in. I like a bob with movement, but my hair has a tendency to be poopy since it's really thick, especially at the short length. It's above my chin right now. I want movement, and I realize I do need some kind of texture or a layer at the very bottom to prevent it from being too triangular and from looking like one big block of hair. What should I be asking for, or do you recommend just showing pictures? I feel like maybe I'm asking for the wrong cut and should just stick to visuals.
You nailed it right out of the gate there. So simple answer is likely you just need more layering. You might even, if your hair is really thick, it might even need some, do not say this to your stylist, okay? But it might actually need some texturizing at the ends. You can even razor the ends depending on the texture to get them to be a little bit more soft and give it a little bit more movement. The reason I say don't say that to your stylist is because depending on your texture, that also can cause a lot of frizz and be a total nightmare. So it's got to be on the right person in the right scenario. But everything that you're saying is saying that you need more layering on some level. You just don't want to get too much layering. So the reason I would say take photos is because if you go to a stylist and say, I need more layers, there is a host of different things that could mean. And that might end you up with a great haircut. That could end you also up with an absolute nightmare. So depending on how they layer it, is going to be a determining factor on whether or not you like it and you actually get the movement that you're looking for. So taking photos, and don't even say 90s bob, yeah. Can I sidestep this? Oh, take photos is the simple answer, but also the names that stylists, we, give these cuts drives me insane. And the reason it does is because people, you might call it a 90s cut because that's what you saw in a magazine because some stylist deemed it as a 90s bob. And then somebody else might call it the Italian bob. And then somebody else might call it just, you know, a lightly layered bob. Who knows what everyone's gonna call it because there's so many different variations. A lob is just a long bob, right? But like the box bob, that's a one-length bob. I've known it as a one-length bob since—
The Italian bob.
Yeah, but now it's a box bob. Like, so you might go to a stylist and say box bob, and they might have seen something else and thought that was a box bob. Photos are always the best way, but more importantly even than photos is it's photos that things that you don't like. So take a photo of the bob that you want. I like this about this bob and I like this about this bob. And then also take 5 or 6 photos. I don't like this because of this. I don't like this bob because of this. And give them all of that information. Because if you just say what you like or just show them a picture, if they're not a strong stylist, they're just gonna go, okay, I'll do it. If you go to a strong stylist, they're gonna ask you, what do you like about it? Well, what do you think about the length? Or what do you think about the bangs? Or what do you think about the layering? You know, is there anything that frustrates you about it? But you can't assume that they're going to do that, unfortunately. So you have to give them all that information and assume they're not going to ask the question.
So one of the cool things that, and if people will know when they've sat in his chair, he will ask a lot of questions, a lot of questions. Like sometimes I'm like, stop talking, honey.
I have to.
Yeah, but he asks a lot of questions because he wants to understand what people's needs are, what they like, what they don't like, and pictures are very helpful. And so we actually created a consultation checklist that you can use when you go into a new stylist or your normal stylist, of the questions that he asks everybody that gets in his chair, like how long do you want it? Like what does your day look like? What do you need to pull it off your face? All these questions. So then that way you and your stylist can come together and get that best haircut for you.
I typically ask very specific questions and then I weed off those questions, right? But I have a format of questions that I have to ask everybody. And so this will just give you all those questions. So you know those, you need to at least give them that information. And then you hope that they're gonna ask you questions based on that information.
Yeah, so it's called the Consultation Checklist and I'll be sure to link it down here after we're done.
Perfect. Okay, so are we?
Yep.
All right, so now let's get on to some of you guys' questions from the comments, and thank you so much for sticking with us through there for all the email stuff as well. So we're just gonna go through these.
I can actually read these without my glasses. It's nice.
Yeah, right. These are a little bit easier. So let's gonna scroll down through here. Let's see. Okay, so Mallory, we're going to throw this one up here real quick. Okay. All right, so Mallory says, hi, my hair has gotten coarser and very wavy as it went gray. Not uncommon. If I don't blow dry it, or if I don't blow it dry, so.
Oh, coarse and wavy.
Yeah. What type of shampoo, I should have you read these because she's a better reader than I am. What type of shampoo do you recommend? I wear a pixie bob. So usually if it's getting more coarse, the thing that you want, and I don't have a specific shampoo. I've got shampoos that I like. New Wash is one of them. You're either gonna like it or not gonna like it because it doesn't set up, right? So we're actually looking for more of those. We're doing some research on trying to find a bunch of different options for you. So I will have more specific answers for you soon. But the one thing that you do have to recognize is, again, if your hair, as it's going gray, part of the reason that it's feeling like it's more coarse is because it might be lacking more moisture. And again, like many times coarse hair, part of the reason that it is coarse is simply that we don't even produce enough oil. So even if you're like, 20 years old and you've got coarse hair, it could be that you just are not producing enough oil to get your hair the moisture it needs to not be coarse. This just happens more on a higher scale as we age because we have a tendency to start drying out, right? Like your skin's producing less oil, and so your hair is kind of a reflection of that. So in that scenario, it's not so much just like, hey, use this shampoo and conditioner. Even if you're using a shampoo and conditioner, you might need to add in a deep conditioner once a week or once every couple of weeks to just give your hair a little bit of that moisture back. Or use something like this, right? Maybe add this to your current routine where you're just putting in like a light leave-in conditioner, and maybe that's just a little bit of extra. Or an oil, right? Sometimes oils can give your hair enough of that moisture, enough to get it back to where it needs to be. So sometimes it's a combination of all of those things. So there's probably more than one thing going on, but we will be looking at more shampoos and conditioners. Actually, I've got a question for you guys. If you want to see a video where we break down the top volumizing products that you can buy, like the most trendy ones, right? The most popular ones. I'm thinking about doing a video where I find them and then test them all and see which ones are worth your money, which ones are not worth their money, and which one is actually going to be best for you for volume. If you want to see that, comment. Let me know. I'm very curious if that's something that you guys would be interested in. All right, so we're going to scroll down here. Hello to everybody, if you're still around, because it's been a little while. All right, so we're going to pop this one up here real quick. Okay, so Stuart and Jennifer say, texture issues in my 50s. Now even short, my hair seems more flyaway. It just looks different. What products would help? Thanks, Jennifer. So after you style it, actually, you're gonna have two different kinds of products that are gonna help control some of those flyaways. You're gonna have waxes or pomades, and then you're gonna have sprays. If your hair is short, especially, I'm always gonna lean towards texturizing pomades or waxes, those types of things, because they give your hair texture and movement, but they also give it some of the control for those flyaways. Whereas if you spray it with the hairspray, it's gonna get stiff. And so it's just gonna be more like a helmet that moves around. One of the best things about short hair is the texture that you can create with them, with those shapes. And that's, to me, what really gives it a strong, youthful, energetic, fun edge, is having a little bit more movement in it versus it being too stiff. So the thing to keep in mind about texturizing pomades or waxes, if you open up a can and you look at it, the more watery it looks, this is an umbrella statement, but for the most part, the more watery it looks, oily it looks, it's likely to give your hair more shine, but it's gonna give it less control. The more paste or wax, candle wax it looks like, a lot of times the thicker it is, it's going to give your hair more control, many times give it a little bit less shine. So if you want something that's a little bit more on the control edge, don't look towards the stuff that looks really, really oily, okay, that's very drippy or watery based, looks like water. Go something a little bit thicker. But then also many times they'll say firm hold, extra shine, low shine, right? So go for something with like a low to medium shine with extra hold. Then just put a little bit in your hands, work it through, heat it up after your hair is dry, start in the back, work it all through, and then just style your hair with your fingers. And more often than not, that can control the flyaways. It gives your hair just enough. And they're amazing on short hair. Amazing. I love them. Okay, so now we're going to go back down here and see what we got. Okay. This is why we need a, okay. So somebody, my name, asks, are perms out of style? I wouldn't say they're necessarily out of style. You just don't see as much of them anymore as they once did. It used to be very popular. Now they're just less popular. But there are a lot of people that are actually leaning more towards perms. So I have a feeling that you're going to see them back. It might not be this year, but in a couple of years, you're going to see them come back. Okay. Split ends, drives me crazy. Karen, I get it. Why does hair split? Honestly, that's a really, really good question. I don't know. I legitimately do not know why hair splits. We should look into that.
I say research.
Yeah, I'm going to research it. I mean, my gut tells me there's a lot of reasons that it would split at the ends. Most of them are environmental, like rubbing your hair against
friction.
Like friction. Thank you. Friction, heat damage, blow drying, like the different processes of blow drying, not just the heat, but like the brushes you're using, how you're using them, all of those things. And then also whether or not they're thin or so if they've been texturized a little bit and they're thinned out at the ends anyway, they might have more of a tendency. I want to look into that more. I've always been one that's like, how do you fix them? I mean, you cut them off. That's the way you really address them. Is you take the split ends off. But I never looked into like why they. Hey, I didn't say I know everything, people. Okay. I have thin. Okay, Patcham says I have thin, baby fine gray hair. It's so hard to find a style other than a chin length bob. Any suggestions? This is a really good one because that's a strong hair texture to try to manage. It can be kind of difficult because you're trying to get volume, but the baby fineness of it, somehow you think it would just give you volume, right? And inherently, you could just get volume because it's light. But in reality, it isn't. You've got to really work to get the volume. So you're dealing with trying to cut the shape into it. So what you're going to find is the longer you get and the more one length you get, the harder it's going to get shape into your hair. That's not me making a judgment call on anybody that's got long one length baby fine hair. It's just saying that's the functionality. That's the function of hair. That's just how it works. So if you're wanting to go something different, you're likely going to be looking shorter. Depending on your face shape and the things that you like and things that you don't like, what shorter style is going to be made very much up to you. I couldn't tell you without seeing you. But you're probably going to end up going shorter is going to be the short answer. Pixies are great if you're willing to go that short. Even shorter versions of bobs that come back off your face that are opened up in the face more so they don't have a line that comes forward. Shorter stuff like that can be amazing. So it's kind of like Deanna's, if like the way it looks right now, right? But a little bit shorter and back off your face. Stuff like that can be really cool. But shorter is going to be the direction you're going to want to head because it's going to give you more ability to create volume in the areas that you want to. Okay, Rena asks, how to camouflage a long nose with a bob hairstyle. So I'm looking at your photo right now, and it looks like you've got a bang or like a soft bang. One of the keys to that is going to be working against bangs. Okay, so yours is soft, so that's great. But then I'm questioning, have you had it straight across and they've grown out? One thing that you kind of want to stay away from is a strong bang in a situation like that, because if you think about it, you've got a frame right here now, right? In the center of that frame, if you've got a bob length and then bangs, is your nose. So if you're trying to draw emphasis away from your nose, then you don't want to frame it because that's going to draw the eye to it. So you want to pull the eye away, which means that you're going to open your face up a little bit more and accentuate cheek structure, jaw structure, bring it away from your face. You can get some extra length in your face by wearing your bangs the way you are right now, off of your face. That's great. But as long as you're pulling the emphasis kind of off your face and bringing more eyes to, bone structure, then you're going to draw less attention to the actual center of your nose, which is your nose, or center of your face, which is your nose. But the more you close it in, the more you're going to see right here. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
I have to ask her because I'm just talking at this point. Let's see what we got. Mindy says, how do I refresh my long bob on day 2 after sleeping on it? Also a great question. What are you doing?
Well, I would say it depends on how you typically style your bob, right? Like I like the messy look. So I like it messy. So like I said, today was my curling hair day. And then when I sleep on it, it's gonna, like some of the curl is gonna come out, but not much of it. My next day, I literally flip my hair. I don't even brush my hair anymore. I literally like finger brush it. And then I take this, it's texturizing spray, and I put it up in here, kind of my root area. And then I literally just go like this, and then I just play with it, and I can't see because again, mirrors. And then that's how my day, like my hair is so easy now. But if you have a smoother style, that might...
No, it would be very similar. So you're basically talking about the same thing, but it depends on how flat your hair is laying or what the frustrations are. So if it's a longer bob, then my gut instinct is going to tell me that the layers are probably a little bit longer too, and it's probably starting to kind of drag a little bit if you're not adding a lot of wave or texture to it. If that is true, then what you said, tilting your head upside down, spraying something on it, get a bunch of like movement and texture to it. You can always comb through with your fingers and take some of that texture out so that it lays a little bit smoother, right? So it's just trying to get some foundation underneath to be able to actually manage that, and then just using your fingers or a wax or a light oil or a spray or something to kind of finger it into place after that's all said and done.
Actually, I've been liking this spray. I don't think you've ever tried it.
I have not used that yet.
It's a spray wax, and I actually use it because it gives it a little bit of shine, a little bit of texture. But it doesn't feel like it weighs it down.
Huh, interesting.
I like trying products. It's fun.
Okay, sorry. Now it's just me just playing with it. Can't put it in front of me and then not want to play with it. Okay. All right. Missy asked, how should I style my hair if I have extremely high forehead? I've used bangs, but as I age, they are becoming very thin. Also a really good question. So bangs are going to be the direction you want to head on some end, realistically, but you don't need straight across bangs. And I think that's a little bit of the misconception for a lot of people. It just needs to be something to break your forehead a little bit, okay? So it could be a swept off bang. If you've got a little bit less than it all coming off your face, many times that's all you're gonna need to actually take emphasis away from your forehead. And even though it's not covering up completely, it'll still make it feel like it's not as dramatic as if you have it all pulled off of your face. The other thing to think about is, and this may or may not be a good move for you, but just to think, food for thought. A lot of times, depending on the color of your hair, coloring it a little bit darker, some low lights in your bangs will give them the illusion that they're denser, and that might be an option for you. So if you're just on the fence on it a little bit and you're like, I really would rather have bangs, but they're just, for instance, light colored and they just feel very thin, adding just some light low lights of your natural color in them, or darker, a little bit, just half a shade or shade darker, a couple shades maybe, will give it a little bit of more, the illusion a little bit more density, and maybe many times that's all you need to do, and you're like, oh, well, now they look thicker. I'm good to go. And then I'll move into a swept off bang down the road when this isn't functioning so well. And that's not like a heavy grow out area, because it's not like right on a part line. It's actually like right here. You've got, it seems like it would grow out really quickly, but they don't grow out as dramatically as other areas or along your part line does. So you're not going to see the grow out as dramatically as you might think you would see it on that. Okay, Fritz asks, I have fine, thin, wavy, frizzy hair. I use heat protectant, usually Pureology, and I've tried tons of products for static. Oils typically make it worse. Any ideas why nothing seems to help? That's a really, somebody just gave me a thumbs down. Sorry, I just saw that. Well, thumbs up to you too. So, I've got to read this question again. I got to kind of go through this and think about this for a second. So I use heat protectant. You're using heat protectant. Usually, okay.
I wonder if she's using if she's using this as a heat protectant.
Great question.
It depends on what Pureology product she's using, too.
If you're using this, what I have recommended, it's not a strong heat protectant. So I would not consider this a heat protectant. It has some protecting qualities to it, but by no means is it enough to what I would really tell somebody to use. You've tried tons of other products, but oils tend to make it worse.
During the winter, so it's very dry here. In the winter, I literally, not that this is a technical, I take a dryer sheet and I rub my hair.
No, that's a thing.
Because I'm like, I'm so staticky. And so, yeah.
And I guess where I'm getting stuck, the questions that I have on something like this is you've got thin, fine, wavy, frizzy hair. So one, I need to understand how frizzy is it and why is the frizz. Mm-hmm. So if you've got wave in your hair, then you're going to have some frizz to begin with, right? Because naturally curly or wavy hair is different. If you look at it under a microscope, it's different than straight hair. It's actually flat. Straight hair is like a pen, right? This is actually flat. So if you think about it, this is not true. But if you think about it like this, imagine if it were like a tree, right? And you take that flat tree and then you go like this, the bark is going to go like this, right? And break. That's kind of like, think of that almost like the frizz that you're seeing, right? And so you need something to kind of bow that down to get it to seal down so that you don't see it. That's why I say product is so important on really curly hair, because it's what you're using to control that. Because in other cases on straight hair, it's already laying down, and if it's standing up, you're using heat or something to smooth that out to get it to lay flat. So in your situation, I'm wondering, is it a lot of frizz based on the curl pattern, or is it a lot of frizz because of the texture of your hair right now, meaning like it's getting drier, and so then it's getting a little bit more coarse, and you're lacking the moisture necessary to get that frizz a little bit more under control. The hard thing is there's just so many different reasons because static, like I understand that static is like, oh, I stood out and I stuck my finger in a light socket and my hair went crazy, and that's the static. But also frizzy hair can look like static. So you're kind of like addressing two things. What she does for static could absolutely work for you. And in those scenarios, maybe that's all you need. In other scenarios, you might need something stronger to really get it to actually hold your hair. Oils might not be enough for you. So you might be using something that's so light that it just isn't even enough to control the frizz that's looking like even more static. I don't know if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, there's a lot of follow-up questions to really like nail that down. Let's see, I'm scrolling down here. Charlene, do we have, for people in Portland? Yes, we'll link to my studio. Actually, there's Danielle, John, and Sharon there. They're all fabulous stylists. I love them. Well, two of them are my parents, so obviously I love them. But Danielle is absolutely incredible as well. I would trust her with anything too, so definitely you would be in good hands. Let's see, okay. Mallory asks, as my hair has gone gray, it's gotten coarser and very wavy. My hair is thick, okay? I wear a short bob. What shampoo products would be best for my hair? So it depends on what you're trying to create out of it. It's gotten coarser. So again, you're seeing more coarse and you're seeing a little bit more wave to it. So my gut instinct is telling me that the bigger question here is how do you combat the coarseness, the dryness of it? Did I say coarseness? You did. Is that a thing? Oh, wow, I apologize. And if that's true, then you're going to need a moisturizing product. Now, so as far as shampoos and conditioners go, you just need to make sure, again, we're going to be looking for more shampoos so I can give you a better insight on that. However, you're going to need to make sure that you use a conditioner that's strong enough at least once a week to put into the hair the moisture that it needs. It's why it's coarse. It just needs more moisture to help. So that's kind of number one. As far as the styling process go, it depends on what style you're trying to get out of it. Now, 9 out of 10 times, you're gonna, if it's really thick and coarse, and you're trying to smooth it out, then some sort of smoothing agent is going to help, right? Like some sort of smoothing cream or some sort of, I'm trying to look to see if we have anything here but none of those would actually be. No. So some people actually even use like a wax, like a pomade prior to styling their hair. So when it's wet, as like a smoothing agent. That could work, but you're going to want something to help smooth your hair out a little bit because it'll help to kind of coat it down a little bit, make it a little bit heavier, and usually that's something that's going to give your hair a little bit of moisture as well. And then you're probably going to want some sort of volumizing aid like this caviar right here that we're going to link in the description for the top to kind of create a little bit of volume because you still want volume in the right areas. And if you're getting wave, and especially if it's a short bob, it's going to get big pretty quickly. So you're going to want some volume up here so you can manage the volume that's on the sides. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, Maggie asks, what do you recommend for people who work out on a frequent basis to avoid having to wash hair frequently? And I'm turning to her actually because we both work out almost daily, and you're now been styling your hair shampooing it once every 4 days, mm-hmm, right? Mm-hmm. And so what have you been doing specifically?
So there's a couple things. For one, my head doesn't sweat profusely. So with that said, I mean, other parts of my body sweat profusely, just not my head.
I don't want to cut you off there. But if your hair does sweat profusely and you do get a lot of oil, you're going to have to likely use some sort of like dry shampoo or something. Yeah. Either the day before or after, whenever works for you. There's pros and cons of both sides, or there's speak towards both sides. But you're going to need something to soak some of that oil up and then move to what she says.
What was I going to say?
What do you do aside from that?
I got brain fog. I can't remember anything. So my I don't really get a sweaty scalp, so I just do it every 4 days. I just put it up in a little pony. I can actually put my hair up in a ponytail. People don't realize that. And then like if I get sweaty, it's usually on the base. And so when I take a shower, it inevitably just kind of gets it a little wet even though I'm putting it up. But then I just blow dry it back in. That's what I do. I just blow dry my sweat, and it works. Or I use texturizer. Like I have this beachy texturizer that I think probably acts as if like a dry shampoo as well. So
yeah.
It's,
I mean, if it's really oily, I mean, if it's really like greasy oil or something, it's gonna be a dry shampoo. You need something to soak the oils up because that's what's gonna bother you the more often than that. Okay, and so Jan has a question for Deanna. She says, are you happy with your shorter hair, or do you ever wish you'd kept it long?
Sometimes I miss my long hair, but very few. Like when we first cut my hair short from the long to I think it was this length.
She's the hardest client, you guys. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm very picky. Like I will constantly, like I can go a week and then I'm like, wait a minute, is this one hair out? Have you, I'm doing, you know.
And it's never right. She's always right. I always mess something up because I'm cutting it at the house and like staring at a wall and a camera. It's terrible.
But no, so the first time we did it, like I liked my shorter hair, but I was just like, the more I lived with it, I was just like, it's okay. I'm not in love with it. It wasn't until we actually went from here to like right here that I was like, this is so fun because I save a lot of time. It's super fun and like makes me feel really sassy for some reason. I'm just like, I'm super sassy. But I mean, occasionally I do miss my long hair, but I mean, I can always grow it out. So, but right now I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Let me sidestep this question a little bit too. I think that maybe part of this question is also based on maybe Jenna, you wanting to cut your hair short and you're just trying to make sure that it's a good move for you. You're like, should I do this? You know, or maybe you're not, but maybe somebody else are like thinking this and you're going, well, what should I do? If you're not in a stressful moment, okay.
Oh yeah, think it through.
Yeah, if you're not in a stressful moment, like if you're going through stress and you're like, I need a life change when I cut my hair. I always say like, give that a little bit of thought. Make sure you're ready to go for it because you don't want to end up somewhere that you're unhappy. But with that said, if that's not true and you're just like, maybe I should do it. Even though that I never push clients into doing things because I want you to be sure that you're comfortable with it. But if you're comfortable with it and you think you can handle it being that short, 1,000%, give it a shot.
Yeah.
Try it because you don't know. And I cannot tell you one example specific. I had a client that came in that had a bob, always had a bob. She looked great. Always like very dressed to the nines, stylish, like a beautiful woman, right? And then always dressed well and always styled really well. I was like, you've got to cut your hair short at some time. And I don't push people, but I'm like, you would be amazing in a pixie cut. You could totally rock it. It's a little bit of edge. You'd kill it. Could not talk her into doing it. For the life of me, there's no way she would ever do it. Oh, that's fine. Unfortunately, she actually had to go through cancer. She had to go through chemotherapy. She lost all of her hair. She's better now. Everything's good. We're golden. But she grew her hair back. It's all gone. Guess what style she stuck with after that? And guess what style? The pixie. She's like, I can't believe I never went shorter. I know. If only, I don't know. If maybe I'd ever said that. Like, you can't push somebody to do it. But when you're ready, it's very often I find people just like so stoked that they did it.
Yeah.
All right. So, Hoxterful, I'm sorry if I said that wrong. This is a great question. What if you want to use minoxidil? Do you have to wash your hair every day? And will that cause more damage? This is a really good question. Yes, in many cases is the problem, right? So I use it I stopped using it. I go back and forth, but I was using it basically every night. And the next day, like, yeah, you would have to wash it and wash it out. And I was finding the exact same problem. Now, defer to better judgment, talk to your doctor. There are pills that you can take. So you don't have to use it on your scalp.
Minoxidil,
yeah, oral minoxidil. So that might be an option for you. That's actually the option I want to look into. But aside from that, yeah, it is kind of a frustration. The good thing is it kind of makes your hair feel thicker so you can kind of work around it. And if you use other products, you could probably get your hair to style out so you wouldn't have to do it every day. But yeah, you don't want to shampoo your hair every single day for the most part. And it is something that you have to more often not rinse out. And there's not really a workaround aside from the oils that I found that would make it really easy for you. So yeah, it is kind of a par for the course on that one. Okay, let's see. Yeah. Let's see. Sorry. I should just be having you do this, actually.
You want me to?
Yeah. Well, give me 1 second here. I'm just trying to find another one real quick. Okay. Oh my gosh.
We love all the comments, by the way.
Yeah. I'm so sorry. I'm just trying to not keep dead air while I go through these. Do you want to share anything, babe? And I'll read through these.
I'm like, I can actually read them. I don't know.
Okay. So Constance, and I'm going to give you this, and while I answer this, I want you to go through these and look. Okay. All right. So Constance asks, are you guys going to start having live videos on here on YouTube? What days and time will it be? So we've been talking about this. We do want to start going live more often. When we do, I'm not sure, they'll either be on a Sunday or a Tuesday. I might switch up my long form content days to posting on Sundays moving forward. So I used to post every Tuesday at 6:45 a.m. and I might change that to Sundays, in which case if I do that, then our live days are gonna be during the week instead of on the weekends. If I stay on Tuesday, then I might do the lives on the actual weekend. So like on Sunday. So we're still kind of trying that. As soon as we know for sure and we have a dead schedule, then we're gonna let everybody know. So my question then is, what content do you want to see on live? Because these are fun to do. I love the Q&As, but I feel like they're gonna get very boring for people after a while. I feel like people are gonna get old of it because they're so long. But I love doing them. One idea that I have, and I'd love to get your guys' feedback on this, so tell me what you think. I think this would be super fun. How would you like to see live videos where you can send in your photos if you want to, and I'll actually break down hey, Justin, here's a photo, my front facing and 2 profile shots, and here's the struggles I'm having with my hair. What would you suggest? And then I show the photo and I say, here's what I suggest, here's the problems, here's the reason that you're having these struggles, kind of like my old hair mistakes that Age You Faster video series, but do it on live. I'd love to know if you think that would be a good video. So if that's a topic that you'd be interested in, I think that would be super fun. I'm just trying to figure out the logistics on how to do it, but I think it could be great.
Yeah.
Do you have another question?
All right. So this is from Addercats, ADR, I don't know. What do you think is the biggest mistakes hairstylists make cutting short curly hair? I am having no luck at all finding a stylist that can do it properly.
The simple answer to that is that cutting curly hair is a little bit of a technique. When I say that, what I mean is that so it's like short hair. Not every stylist knows how to cut good short hair. They just don't. I mean, it just is what it is. There's a lot of nuance to it. And curly hair can be very similar to that. I think, I feel like I'm going to open a can of worms with this one. So are you ready? Here we go. Let's dive in. Get ready to get in the comment section, folks, because I know I'm going to hear some feedback on this one. There's a lot of issues when it comes to curly hair, and there's a lot of approach that personally, this is an opinion, but I'm not a big fan of. So kind of like, I don't want to say certain methods, but there's certain methods to the cutting portion of these that they can't function well for you. And so what happens is people will learn a technique. Okay, stylists will learn a technique and they'll say, well, I know this for curly hair. I've got to cut every curly hair client with dry hair. We only do dry cuts. And this is the technique I use to do it. And this is the best method because it's a curly hair method. And that's just flat out not true. And in fact, more often than not, it's a terrible method. But they've learned this one technique and they think they're super specialized. And it doesn't open them up to any other of the things, right? Like any of the other possibilities. Short curly hair specifically is very much based on shape. If you are not cutting shape into shorter curly hair, it is going to look like a bubble. And there's nothing you're going to do to get around it. So you can't just layer hair the way you would in straight cases. You have to understand how to cut shape into the hair to get the volume where you want it to get. But then you also have to understand how curly hair works. And many times, if you don't get curly hair, you're not going to realize that sometimes when you take it shorter, it cuts curl out. Sometimes in certain textures, it adds curl in. So if you don't really know how to work with not just curly hair, but multi-textural hair, you're adding in shorter and curly, 2 individually difficult things to master that you have to really understand. Put those together, and now you're really going to be fighting people. So there isn't just one thing that I could say, find a stylist that does this technique well. You need to find a stylist that understands short curly hair, and then also go to them and explain all of the things that frustrate you about previously your hair and how you can have them ask them how they can address those things. But there's just a lot that goes into curly hair. Like, people don't like hearing that I don't agree with certain methods, so I'm not going to get involved with it, but I don't.
Okay, so this is from M. I have curly hair. How do I start learning how to straighten it on my own? I don't have skills with a brush and a dryer.
First off, brush and dryer is going to take a lot of skill set and a lot of time to blow dry curly hair. To get it to go straight. More often than not, and this is going to be another hot take, you're going to find a much easier process actually just drying your hair with a flat iron. So you're going to get it dry first. Basically, just use your hands, use a brush, get something just to get the moisture out of it. Okay, so step by step, you get out of the shower. You towel blot your hair. You put in a heat protectant, then you put in some sort of smoothing agent or a volumizer, whatever you're trying to get the end result, whatever product is necessary to get the end result. That might be like an oil-based product, something to kind of help smooth it out, okay? You put that in roots to ends. You start getting your hair dry, you use a brush, a big paddle brush, something to start kind of smoothing it out, or you can even just grab it with your fingers and pull it out. You're just trying to pull it straight with your hands. Then after it gets dry like that, it's gonna be a big nightmare of a frizzy mess. Then you're gonna take a flat iron to it. Justin, why would you say take a flat iron to it? Flat irons are so damaging because of the heat. They really aren't. Yes, they are. They can damage your hair. But in reality, when you're talking about especially just learning how to dry curly hair straight with a round brush, the probability of you mismanaging where you're taking that airflow and how hot blow dryers get nowadays, if you don't get that airflow just right, that's every bit as damaging, if not more damaging, than a flat iron at 350 to 400 degrees. So to me, it's actually less problematic for you to just take a flat iron, go through it once slowly. I've got some videos on my channel to teach you how to do it. Once slowly through your hair and work it through and be done over one time versus blow drying it incorrectly because it's just hard, it's awkward to do. And then all of a sudden you're just destroying your hair all the way down under the illusion that you're being less damaging because you're using a brush and not a flat iron. Mm-hmm. That was a lot too.
Good one. All right, so this is Julie.
Is Kevin a Springer? Kevin's a Bernese Mountain Dog.
He's a Bernese Mountain Dog.
He's a big old, they look so similar though, right?
Yeah, when you can only see his little head.
Yeah.
His big old head.
Yeah, if you're a Springer, he's a 100-pound Springer.
And he rules our life. Like
1,000%.
Everything we do is for him and Benny. We also have a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, but he's under my desk right now. And he tells him at least 200 times a day how stinking cute he is.
I do.
And loves him. So
I love our boys.
Our 8-hour workday becomes a 12-hour workday because
I have to run downstairs and tell Kevin he's cute. Sorry, but that's just how it goes.
Yeah. Okay, so is it Adri? Hi, Justin. Does thickening sprays work for fine hair?
For fine, thin hair,
for
specifically.
Fine, thin hair, sorry.
So usually not, actually, is the simple answer to this. More often than not, fine, and the reason I'm pointing out fine, thin hair is because, first of all, thin, she has a lot, thick, fine hair. And thickening sprays for you, it would be a little bit different. Some of them could work, some of them might not work.
Are they talking about thickening sprays like this one?
Well, I mean, so thickening sprays is kind of a broad term.
Okay.
But
I love this thickening spray.
Yeah.
Love it.
So it's going to be a little bit different for you than it's going to be for somebody with a thin amount of fine hair.
Got it.
And so, yeah, they're two different textures and people will kind of bury them into one and it's not the same. When you're dealing with really thin hair, you're trying to create volume, okay? And that's gonna be the biggest struggle. And a lot of times I find thickening sprays are a little too gentle to really create the volume. You really kind of need to bring in the big guns to be able to actually get the control out of your hair, to get it to hold the bend so that you create volume. So more often than not, gels in some cases, Bumble and Bumble styling cream, something there's a little bit more gel-like, that might be a really good option for you because it's got more control. And if you're leaning over towards thickening sprays, it's going to be a little bit lighter and it might not be enough. However, you can mix the two sometimes. Maybe you get a mousse, something that's a little bit lighter in terms of feel in your hair, and add a little bit of thickening spray to it just to give it a little bit more oomph. And sometimes that can be like the magic mixture for you.
Perfect. Peggy asked, Justin, do you take new clients in your salon in Portland?
I do not. So the stylists that are there do. A year and a half ago, 2 years ago, actually stepped away from behind the chair because we have to focus. The amount of time necessary to focus on this channel and our other online businesses and do hair, there's no way I could do both of them. And so I do go back and do makeovers there and we do stuff like that and I still have it. But as far as taking new clients, I defer them to the other stylists that are there that are amazing, that taught me everything I know, more than capable of taking care of anybody that I could put in their chair.
Keep talking.
Oh, we got. So I want to get down to figure out if you guys thought any of those video ideas was a good idea.
Yes, that's where we're at right now. Yes, seeing you
Andrew
try
says
different.
yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Andrew, by the way, I think those would be super fun to create, and I think we're almost through most of the questions. So then we will see.
Sorry, my eyeballs don't work so
Okay.
well.
Okay. Hi, Justin, Deanna. Here, let me.
Oh, sorry. Now you're going to take it back over?
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm just going to get some of it. Oh, gosh. There we go.
I know. It's being a stinker.
Okay. Hi, Justin and Deanna. What shampoo regime do you recommend for gray hair, for example, regular shampoo and purple? Great question. Shampoo periodically or using purple shampoo and conditioner every time. So it depends on what shampoo, what purple shampoo you're using. Back in the day, purple shampoos, and some of them still to this day, were not cleansing shampoos. They were specifically to tone your hair. That was it. Then you were forced or had to use a shampoo that actually cleans your hair. Some of the newer ones do have cleaning agents as well, and they sort of bring out the conditioners because I think mainly because people do co-wash, right? So if you're like you're a person that's just using conditioner as your basic form of shampoo in a way, then they wanted the ability to use something like that would still have the purple element to it. But if you've got gray hair and it's going yellow, I would first look at the cause of the yellow because here's the thing: some purple shampoos are okay for doing the purple. More often than not, I find that shampoos, this is a blanket statement, but shampoos and conditioners, if they're trying to do too many things, they don't do anything well, okay? So if it's like, I'm trying to give your hair volume and smooth it out and do this and do that, and you're like, okay, I just want it to clean it. That's what you need.
I'm trying to clean your hair and trying to deposit the color.
Yeah, exactly. So they end up trying to do a little bit too much. So if you can figure out first, like for instance, maybe you live on well water and the water is hard. Well, if you can get a filter on your shampoo, on your shower or filter the water, then we might be able to deal with the yellowing of the hair without even having to worry about a purple shampoo.
Ooh. So my stylist, because my hair will yellow because we do have more harder water.
Yeah, more water.
She recommended this shampoo product that I use, not all the time, but it's kind of like, I guess, a clarifying. It's called the Goo Gone. I'm gonna look that up. Because sometimes my blonde hair will start looking kind of muddy and dull, and so she's like, use this. It'll kind of pull out some of the impurities and kind of bring back that vibrancy. So
yeah. And I was actually using a purple shampoo for a long time, just testing stuff, right? And I found out that my hair got dry, and I was like, this is junk. I don't like it at all. So with that said, you want a gentle shampoo that cleans your hair, okay? And you use that however often you're shampooing. You want a light conditioner on the days that you use that. Once a week or so, or once every 4 or 5 times you shampoo, you want some sort of deeper shampoo, stronger shampoo, clarifying shampoo, something along those lines that's going to help strip out some of the buildup or just the day-to-day grime that's got on your hair. On those days, you could use a purple shampoo after the clarifying shampoo. You could use like that to help to kind of tone it if you needed to. But I wouldn't use the shampoos and conditioners that are supposed to do all of the things. Use the ones that are just there to tone the color, because you need decent shampoos that are actually doing the other things correctly more than you need one that says it's going to do it all and it's not. Okay, one more here. Okay, NJ says, my face looks best when my hair is up and back with face ring bangs, thin hair, but have a short neck and curvy body that makes me look like a ball. You just said that makes me look like a bowling pin. Here's
what I would say. What do I say when anybody puts themselves down? Okay, now you have to think about 3 good things to say about yourself.
Yep.
What are the 3 things you love about yourself? Because I think as women, we're always focused on trying to live up to some ideal that society says we need to look like, or that, like, I'm hippie. I have no chest. I'm very hippie, in comparison. But it's beautiful. It's me. It's my body, and I can't change it.
Yep.
So 3 nice things, women.
Yes. And so here's the other thing about this. So it sounds like what you're saying is, the question is, well, my hair looks good when it's pulled up. And that's actually a typical thing that we tell people, hey, if you want to try to get an idea of whether or not you're going to feel comfortable with your hair short, pull it back all off your face, kind of give it an idea of how it looks. Something to take in consideration there's a lot of things going on with why people like their hair pulled back in a ponytail, okay? And because this happens all the time. If you pull your hair back, it's doing a lot of things that you want to pay attention to that your short hair might not do, and it's something you need to be aware of. It automatically, aside from that, yes, but not only does it do that physically because it does pull skin because you're pulling it tight or tighter, even if it's a loose one, but when you pull the hair back off your face like this, okay, and this is all back, okay, what it usually does is this stuff will lay in a little bit more, and then it'll start to create a little bit more volume up through here, and it creates this line. If you follow I'm gonna have you look just at the camera like this. Okay, there we go, thank you. If you follow cheekbone structure, okay, cheekbone structure does this. Jawbone structure does this. So typically speaking, if we want to accentuate cheekbone structure, if we create volume up here and follow that line, that's where it's going to create the accentuation of cheekbones. Now, when you do that, it lifts the face. Okay, so people go, oh, I love my hair when it's up because this gets tapered in and it creates this little bit of a line with the hair that kind of does this and it follows this line right here. Now, the concern with that is if your hair goes short and it doesn't have the volume in these areas and tapered in here, what you end up with is kind of what you're concerned about ending up with, which is like this little bowling pin because it ends up looking like your hair is just round because the shape isn't actually cut into your hair the way that it looks when it's pulled back off of your face. So put back into the idea, if you were able to take your hair and cut it short like you're seeing it, if you pull it back and you're like, I like the way this looks and I actually like it back up off of my face like this and off of my neck, I feel great, then the probability of you being able to go short is actually pretty high in liking it. It just means that you have to have the shape cut correctly, tapered in the right areas to do the same thing for your face that your hair is doing to your face when you put your hair back up like that. Did that make sense? Okay. That was a lot too.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, oops, did it work? Yes, it did. It just moved. Oh, says, I know you said you don't recommend shampoos. I get it. I just wanted to know if you had a strong feeling either way about Kevin Murphy shampoo and conditioner.
Honestly, I haven't used it that much.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't used it at all. So, yeah, unfortunately, I don't have one way or the other on it. That's the hardest part, I think, about, somebody's asking what the hardest part about our beauty, especially being a beauty creator. There are so many wet lines, like products out there, shampoos and conditioners. There's no possible way I can try them all or know them all. I mean, I always feel a little bit bad. Like, I want to know all of them, but there's just no possible way.
Yeah.
They're so hard. I mean, there's so many.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Color Wow products? We've used a couple. I've used a couple. You've used one, I think.
Yeah. Yes. I don't hate them, actually. Like, I don't have an issue with Color Wow. So the one she's speaking of specifically, so backstory. I created there's a product, Color Wow product, okay, that is a heat protectant. A lot of people absolutely swear by it. For what it does, it's fantastic at what it does. So then I wanted to create a shine agent heat protectant as well with this company. They wanted to create something that kind of along those lines. So I basically said, well, here are my concerns. This is what I need my product to do. And Color Wow doesn't really do that. So it's just a different product. And those are that my concern was being able to use other products. Like Color Wow, the specific product I'm talking about, their product is like, you can't use other products on it. Well, you can't use other products because it interacts with the kinds of silicones that are in that particular product. And when you interact with those, it doesn't function well. So they're like, well, you can't use anything else. You only got to use this. And my thing is, I don't want to use any more silicones than I have to. And the ones that I use, I want to be very specific on because I want them to flash off or basically get off the hair in one shampoo or when you dry it. That was a big concern for me because I don't want it to build up. Can't have it build up. That was my only concern about the Color Wow product, was that it has the potential of building up if you're not using it correctly. But they function really well. I'm not going to take anything away from a product that does good work.
Yeah.
So it functions. You just they use it with intelligence.
Yeah.
Not even caution. Just understand it.
And they were also asking about when. I'm not familiar with.
I haven't used enough when product to really to say much about it. I just don't have an opinion on it one way or the other.
Okay. So Marilyn, still would like your opinion of long hair on ladies in their 70s or 79s. Please, what are your thoughts on long hair?
So here's my honest thought, and if you've been around my channel, you might have actually seen a couple of videos where I just got slaughtered for saying a hook in a video, like starting it off the wrong way. Long and short, I don't have an opinion on anybody's hair at a certain length. I think my opinion is that you need to do whatever you feel good in. That's always been my opinion. It's always been the basis of this channel. I've always said that. If you've watched any of my videos, I've always said, look, ignore what I say completely. If you feel confident and amazing in whatever hairstyle you have, and I say that you should do something different, tell me to shut up, ignore me completely. My opinion is entirely irrelevant. When I speak to long hair on anybody of any age, when I speak to long hair, the thing that I speak to is the length's ability to create shape and therefore accentuate aspects of people's face shapes that they might want to accentuate. So where am I getting with that? If you've got really long hair, you have to leave layers long enough to balance with the length. That simply means that they can't get volume in certain areas, like up here, because it's long, it's heavier hair. Just doesn't have the ability to. No right, no wrong, just a fact. If we can't get volume in certain areas, I cannot accentuate things about your face shape that you might want to accentuate. Maybe we were talking about before, you want to accentuate cheekbone structure. I just simply can't do that because the hair won't allow me to do that because it's being limited. My hands are being tied by the length and how long the layers have to be. They're still going to be really heavy and they're not going to get volume up here by themselves. That's just all there is to that one. So if you love it, awesome, rock with it. If you feel like you want more shape and movement and it's not accentuating parts about your face that you want to accentuate, it just is what it is, that it probably has to go shorter and be more layered because it just simply, it's like here's a piece of clay. I want it to look like a dog, but I don't want to actually carve on it. It's just a chunk of clay. Well, until you start like carving on it, you can't make it look like a dog. It has to have some sort of layering to do that. Yeah. Maybe dog was not the best. As I say that, maybe that was not the best analogy, but I think you got my point.
Okay, so Tammy has a good question. I am gray now. Make sure it popped up. Actually white with some dark underneath. Okay. I love the color though, being so white at the roots, it makes it look so really sparse. Is there something that we can use to bring depth to it?
Low lights again. 100%, yes. So there's not a product, right, that you can use. You're going to have to add some of that depth back into your hair. And you're spot on. That's exactly what happens with really light hair. It starts to look very sparse because it matches the scalp, right? You can see the hair. You can see the scalp through it. So we've got to go in there and add some sort of low lights of your natural dark, your pepper, and get some more dimension in that. And that's going to make it look a lot denser. Again, it doesn't mean you have to add so much that all of a sudden you're going to have this ridiculous grow outline. You're going to have a ton of high maintenance color in your hair. Not at all. A little bit can go a long way, but the second you do that, you're going to see such a dramatic difference in how rich the overall shape looks and how thick your hair looks that it's like one of the most shocking things, and it looks so natural. Like it looks so natural. You'll absolutely love it.
Okay. CC, I have fine hair. I don't like to wash it a lot. Does that harm my scalp?
That's also a great question. Only if your scalp is overly oily, and then it's not necessarily that it's going to harm your scalp. If your scalp isn't it's going to tell you if there's going to be a problem with it, right? Like if your scalp is getting like really oily, really itchy, it's driving you crazy, like there's stuff going on, then you need to clean the scalp. But if you're not really having any of those issues, then we're taught in America that you have to shampoo your hair like every day. And that's such a lie. You don't need to. It's just being fed by shampoo companies that want to sell more product. Realistically, we need some of that natural oil in our hair. It's fine. So it's really just the question is, how long can you go in between shampoos? As long as you can manage to get the look that you want and not have your scalp feel so greasy or oily that it's driving you insane.
Okay. This is from Spiky Potato.
I like that.
Do you have any solutions for ladies that cannot, and we get this often, cannot use a blow dryer to severe neck arm pain? I haven't been able to blow dry my hair in years.
Yeah. So it depends on your mobility, right? If you can't get your hands up at all, or neck or arm pain, to use any sort of drying tool, right? For instance, like a blow dry brush or something like that. If you can get your hands up to do that, but you just can't get both of them up, like I can get one hand up, or I can use a blow dryer down like this or something like that, then that's the direction I would head, is try to do that. But if you can't use anything, you just I cannot do anything. The only technique the only thing that I would have is you just have to get a cut that has a shape cut into it enough that realistically with any haircut, just so we're all aware on the same page, you should not be styling your shape into your cut. You should be enhancing the shape that was already cut into your hair. Okay? If you find that you get your hair cut and you're trying to manipulate the volume where you need to get it to manipulate it, just try to get it to look somewhat decent. That's a cut that doesn't have a good shape cut into it. The shape should just be enhanced a bit. And even when it lays flat, it still kind of has the volume where it is. It's just not as big, right? And you're minimizing some of that drying process because the foundation is already there built in for you. If you can't dry it at all, that's kind of your move, is you've got to find just a really strong cut. But many times that might end up going shorter because it's harder to cut shape into hair as it gets longer. Because again, we run into that heaviness issue, right? Where it just gets kind of full. If you can get some mobility out of it, then it might even be worth it to try. If you're just trying to get it dry, you might be able to get one of those blow dry hoods, like the old school hoods that you put on a blow dryer. You set your blow dryer down, you put the hood on, and it just gets it dry at least. And then if you can get your hands up at all to use, any mobility at all, you could use a blow dryer round brush to just kind of polish it off and smooth it off, or even a flat iron or something. That might be the route that I would go, is you get it dry with that, or let it air dry. I mean, if you've got time.
Mm-hmm. Laura says, started menopause around 50 and hot flashes for 20 years. Thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm growing out my gray hair. Any suggestions so it doesn't look as bad as I grow it out? That's a big question that we get a lot. Like, she's wanting to go all gray.
First of all, if you're trying, first of all, it's a process, okay? Don't go to your salon. Not that you would, but just don't go to the salon and just ask the colorist to color your hair gray if you've got color in your hair. Don't do it. There's only like 3 people I have ever seen that can do that well. And if you do it wrong, it is an absolute nightmare. Your hair will fall off. So it's an extremely invasive, like super specialized process to do it really well to go all gray in one day. So we are looking at a time frame. As the time frame sits, it depends on how much color you have and how willing you are to allow that to have that demarcation line that you're seeing, that grow out line. If you're like, oh, I'm good with it, let it grow, ignore it, like don't worry about it, don't waste your time on money, on color or anything else. If it's bothering you, then what you can do is low lights of your natural color, low lights of the, so you can do a little bit of both, but still, once you get into the highlight part of this process, you want to find someone that really understands color. But if you're just doing low lights, you just say, let's say for instance, your hair is naturally, or it's all going gray, but you've got brown color in it, you just do low lights of brown that go up to the scalp to kind of break up that line a little bit. Step 2 would be to do the low lights of brown and then also do highlights that they would then go tone to match the gray color to kind of break it up even more. That highlight process, again, still becomes much more challenging than people might think. And if you don't understand how to get a good gray, it's going to look fake. It's going to look like, it might even end up looking like this, right? If it's not done right. So just be sure that you've got somebody that really understands that. Many times though, just low lights, that's enough to kind of break up that line. You let it get a little bit longer, you do those again, but you just do a little bit less. So each time you're doing a little bit less low lights, and then it's growing out, and then you just get those ends cut off, and the low lights just kind of grow out, fade out. It's not a big deal, and you're basically back to natural color.
Yeah, or you can do what my girlfriend did, and she shaved her head. And she just didn't want to do the
That's
grow
also
out
another option.
process, so she went short, and she's got the most beautiful, she's actually in one of our videos, the most beautiful gray, like salt and pepper curly hair ever.
Yeah.
So, hey Shelly, this is from Shelly. Hey,
Hey, what's up, Shelly?
So my hair is fine, medium density, color treated with highlights. What is the recommended temperature sweet spot for hairstyling?
Would you say 365 is too hot? This is a really good question.
Yeah.
So first of all, don't go for 400, okay? I actually set my irons to 400. And at 9 out of 10 times, it's not an issue. Actually, I've never experienced a serious issue with it. You're gonna see all sorts of people tell you all sorts of different things. Some people are going to say, look, 400 is absolutely crazy. You're just going to damage the hair. Some people are going to say you need to be at 280, and that's the only way I would even touch hair. Yes, is there going to be a little bit of nuance in there for some people if you've got very fragile, overly processed, super fine hair, then yes, you want to stay to the safer end of that, right? But realistically, if it's that much of a concern, you might not want to be using irons at all anyway. If you are of a medium texture like yourself or somebody and you're using something iron, my thought process is, cool, I put it in at 300, I go through it and I have to go through your hair 5 times to get it to lay smooth. I turn it to 400, I go through it once and it's gray. To me, I can't say that 300 at 5 times over your hair is better for your hair than the one time that you're gonna do at 400. I have seen though that over 400 becomes exponentially more damaging quickly. So she uses an iron that's around 400 degrees all the time. We've never had an issue with it, ever once. Her hair's always been in good health. She went just recently to California for a photo shoot, and the stylist there used an iron that was over 400, 450. And in one day, one time of using it, her ends fried. And then I had to look at it and go, everyone's gonna think that I did that. I did not do that. But it was, they were destroyed at one time.
Yeah.
400's never been an issue. So
yeah.
There's some factors, but
yeah, it was horrible. I was like, what the
I
heck
don't
is
think
happening?
365 is too hot. And in fact, I say go to 400. Just do it once. Just make sure you do it efficiently. Once. You don't go over it 15 times with a 400 degree iron.
Which I've been guilty of that. I used to do that all the time.
Everybody does.
But it's like, yeah, if you're just kind of not too slow, but just even heat, you know.
Yeah, you put it in.
One pass is great.
You go like this, and then I might just do it real quick at the end one more time, and we're good to go.
Okay. So, Marcia, I'm just posting this, so let's do this more often.
You guys are sensational.
Do this more often.
Yeah, definitely. I love doing this stuff, but I'm afraid it's going to bore you.
We used to, when Facebook lives came around, before we ever had our YouTube channel, we used to do Wines Days, is what we call it. So we'd have wine, and we'd just jump on Facebook Live and just talk about anything and everything, like not hair related, just like sometimes it'd be like super inspirational and other times it's like funny stories, but so I enjoy it. I like
all
it.
the things.
I don't know if you have an answer to this. What heat protectant do you recommend?
You know, I honestly don't. I spent all the time making my own it was exactly what I wanted, but in that time I didn't have time to look for another one because I didn't feel the need to look for another one. So now I'm still looking for one that I really, really like. So yeah.
Okay, I'm going to read between the lines on this one. It says, Deanna, you have dread arms and shoulders. I'm assuming she means shredded arms and shoulders because it says, what's your routine? So I've been sharing, over on my Instagram page, so I recently turned 49 and I am on a 1-year mission to kind of be my own guinea pig to celebrate my 50th birthday, my most healthy and fit. So that means different strength training workouts. Right now I've got, I'm doing the ZO, so I'm doing a lot of microbiome testing to kind of like figure out what my body responds to at this phase of my life, and trying to also show women that just because we're middle-aged or we're, 50 or over or whatever, that it doesn't mean that it's the end of our life, right? We've got so much to go. So I'm going to be a human guinea pig, so you can follow me there. But right now I work out 5 days a week. I've got a strength training program where I just focus on different body parts each 5 days a week, and we walk. I don't do any high impact aerobics or anything like that. And that's what I'm doing. And decreasing my alcohol consumption is definitely not. Yeah. Sorry. Usually I'm doing this while you're talking and your mouse is being a stinker. Okay. Sorry. You keep talking now.
I'm reading them too.
Oh.
Let's see here.
Why don't you talk about some of these favorite products?
Talk about some of these favorite products.
No pressure.
I feel like we've already talked about all of them though. Okay, so I'm gonna walk you through some products that I do like. And again, I will be if you're just joining us. First of all, my name is Justin Hickox. Done hair for 30 years, own a salon, all the things. And so we're just trying to answer all the questions that you might have about hair. And then this is my beautiful wife, Deanna, and she's here joining me. She's all the behind the scenes of all of this stuff. And she's got some great insight on menopause stuff. I have to be so careful about what I say. And I'm like, this is just like...
Yeah, he's just like, I don't know what to say, I don't want to say it.
So some products that I do like, I am going to be actually, I think we are going to do the video where I find the most popular volume products and go through them. This will be on that list, but this is one that I'm actually really liking for like a gel or like a mousse. A lot of times mousses are a little too light, gels are a little too strong, so this is kind of a good in between. I feel like it could be a little bit stronger. The one I'm creating, I genuinely believe you're gonna love, but this is one of the closest I've seen to what I like out of the gate. Do you have another one already?
Oh yes, I do.
Okay, well hold on one second. If you're looking for a spray, this actually is a pretty good spray right here. Like this is pretty strong. It's from Kenra, and it's not super, super, super hold. So it's not like gonna make your hair so stiff that you can't comb through it, but it still gives you a little bit of control. We'll use this like, like I use it a lot, like when I'm for videos or whatever. If I need something, I'm like, okay, I need this to stay, but I don't want to.
People ask that question a lot. Like, how do you get this to stay back? Like, how do you get it to wing back?
Because I'll sit there and spray it down and then hold.
Yeah.
And there we go. And then I'll let it sit back like that.
I will say, like, full disclosure on this, I really love how it works too. However, this like little trigger sprayer will get clogged. So just
pretty standard spray.
Put it under hot water and then it'll like loosen it up. But that's one thing that I'm like, just like spraying like this way one day and you're like, well, I got in the eye. But yeah, other than that, I love it.
I mean, even now, like that's just a little bit of spray and it's still staying back off her face. I mean, it's not the way we want it to look probably, but you know,
I like a messy.
It sprays and she can still mess it up. So we're kind of a fan.
Okay, this is a really good one. What lessons have you learned during your career that affect how you go about everyday life?
Ooh.
We've learned a lot.
What career? Are you talking about hair or YouTube? Because they're two different careers. Yeah. But I mean, like, I've learned, I mean, personally, I feel like I've learned a lot from hair. Mm-hmm. I think any job that you have, any career that you have where you deal with that many people, I think you just learn a lot about how to deal with people, like how to be social or how to read a room or, you know, like how to ask questions. I've learned a lot about how to ask questions. So that's kind of a two-part question, right? So there's the like techniques, if you will, or whatever. Let me see what lessons have you learned? Okay. So like, I guess the lessons I've learned about like how I would do life is one scenario, right? And that's just kind of like, be kind, don't be arrogant, which I have been so guilty of so many times. I used to be the most obnoxious person you've ever met.
Before I met him, because I wouldn't have given him the time of day.
I was absolutely ridiculous. Yes, all of the things. And then hair actually humbled you quite a bit because you screw up a couple times. And it's super embarrassing. And then you find out there's people out there that are way better. There's still so many stylists out there that are way better than I'll ever be as a stylist. I'm good, but they're I'm not the only one. And there's some amazing stylists out there. So you learn that you're just going to be humbled because you're around people that are so good at what they do. But one thing that I've definitely learned, like to the flip side of that, is just in like dealing with people, or just the way that you go about like life and people in general, is just asking so many questions and realizing that, like, even when I ask a question, she hates this about me, and you might hate this about me actually, but when somebody asks a question, like they always say I'm mansplaining it because I over-explain it, but I over-explain it because I'm really trying to get people to understand what I'm saying, and I'm not sure that they do. So like I feel like being very specific about which I'm doing a terrible job of right now, I'm laughing, but I feel like being very specific about getting people to understand, like communication. We'll leave it at that. Communication is what I've learned.
Okay, this one's
which is the worst way to answer that, because there's nothing about that was good communication. That was terrible.
So this is from Elizabeth Daly. If you watch our upcoming, it's coming out Tuesday, right?
Yep. What's up, lady?
If you watch our Tuesday video, she is the beautiful model in the video. And she says love your analogies, which Elizabeth, I told you, he does too many of them. I call him an analogy man. Yes. So please don't encourage this behavior anymore.
They worked out, It's a great video. If you've ever considered going gray, you're going to want to watch Tuesday's video.
Yeah, Tuesday's video.
Valina says, I hope that's how you pronounce it. Valina says, I have thinning hair. It's long. Should I go shorter? Such a great question. First caveat answer, obviously, yeah, if you feel good in the length that you have, no, don't go shorter. Like whatever makes you feel the most confident. But if you're trying to maximize density, then turn around, look in the mirror. Grab another mirror so you can see the back of your head. Look at the back length. Comb it all back behind your shoulders. Wherever it starts to look thin, if it starts to look thin at a certain area, wherever it looks most dense, that's the length you take it to. That's always my recommendation. You take it to that length because it's going to support layering better. It's going to support shape, which means it supports shape better. It's going to look its thickest at that length range or shorter. So that's going to give you the longest you can leave it. But if it's starting to look thin at the ends, the longer it gets, the thinner and thinner and thinner it's going to look. So for that scenario, if you're comfortable with it and you're like, hey, I love it, I don't care if it looks thinner, I'm great, then leave it longer. More power to you. But if you're trying to make it look more dense, then you got to start by getting it to where it looks dense at the baseline, and then you layer it or do whatever else we can from there to encourage more of that illusion of density.
Okay. So I'll just post this really quick. Links to Instagram page. We'll put them in the description.
Yeah.
The links to Instagram. So yeah, my journey to 50 is about health, fitness, wellness. I'm even doing skincare. I'm not against procedures. I haven't had any, like I haven't done Botox or I don't know, that stuff scares me, but like I love like stuff like these, like things I can just use at home, like red light therapy masks I'm all about, that kind of stuff. So, but I'm going to be testing out some stuff, and some stuff's going to be kind of weird and woo-woo, but that's part of the process of, doing the thing.
Is there...
Oh, go ahead. Oh, sorry.
Okay, Leah. Laura says, is there a way to dry curly hair curly in a way that I can brush it without frizz? I hate the idea.
Oops, sorry.
I hate the idea of brushing my hair at all. So the simple answer is no. Okay, so the simple answer is yes and no. So there's a process of drying curly hair. So first of all, you just got to get it dried with as minimal amount of frizz as you can through... You apply product to make sure the product is on roots to ends, start diffusing it, keep your hands out of it, right? Do all the things to minimize the amount of frizz. Now that you've got dry hair, it's dry and curly. Now the question is, are you going to be able to comb through that? Depending on the product that you're using, if you're using a product that's controlling the frizz really well, it's going to be less apt to get horribly frizzy when you comb through it. You're still going to get some frizz. The degree to which you get frizz when you comb through it is going to be largely based on the product that you're using in the beginning and how well it is going to manage the frizz. Is there a product that will not get any, that you'll be able to comb through it and not get any frizz? No. The minute you take a comb through it, you're going to get some level of frizz. You can get your hands in there slightly. You can comb through it with your open fingers a little bit to kind of break it up. But you take a comb through it and going through it, you're going to have some bit of frizz to it mainly because it just breaks up all of the curl pattern. So you're just going to end up with like all of the individual hairs, and those hairs, just because they're curly, have a tendency to look like it's frizzy, even if it's not frizz, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's a good one.
What inspired you to do hair? My parents, all through growing up, my parents had salons. It's legitimately all I've ever known is hair. Like I went to bed, I'd wake up in the morning, they'd be at their salon in downtown Portland. I would go to bed before they would even get home. They were constantly like, the salon that they had was a really strong salon. So like, I remember growing up, every single year, probably 2 or 3 trips, they'd go to Italy, Paris, they'd go all over just doing street fashion shoots to learn the new techniques and to learn see what's happening. Cause back when I was young, like New York or Italy or, Paris were all like years ahead of everybody else in terms of fashion. So they'd go to try to get like fashion shots and learn what they're doing so they could bring it back and teach stylists at their salon how to do the latest, newest thing. And so that's just all I ever knew. Like they had me working at the salon when I was 13. If I'm totally honest, I don't know if I should be, but if I totally am, I graduated high school. I barely graduated. I shouldn't have graduated. Legitimately should not have graduated. Almost didn't. Open my book like, oh, I hope I see a what's
Diploma.
It called? There you go.
Diploma?
Right? Yeah, one of those. And shockingly, I found it because I talked to my last teacher the last day of school. I talked one of my teachers into passing me instead of flunking me. And had they flunked me, I wouldn't have seen a diploma in there. So there's that. And then I told my dad I was going to take some time off after school. And he was like, haha, no, you're not. And so he's like, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, I'll go into hair because I like people and I like art. So it seemed natural. And then it was easy for me, which probably is part of it. And then I just started liking it. So it wasn't like I was grown up like all I ever wanted to do was hair. I just was always around it. So I've always known it.
All right. So KB, what's your secret to a happy relationship?
Yes, honey.
No.
Is it not?
Assuming we're happy. No, I think, we've been married for 10 years, right? Mm-hmm. So, he came in, me as a single mom, coming in, taking care of two step kids, that were, how old were they?
9 and 7.
9 and 7. And the evolution has been very interesting. So when we first got together, I was very insecure. So I needed like compliments from him all the time, like, tell me I'm pretty, tell me all this stuff. And he would, but he's like, I want you to know you're beautiful on your own, right? So he kind of gave me the tough love that I need to be okay as my own person. And so I think one of the gifts that he brings is like whenever I'm feeling cheeky or a little cranky, he is so even-keeled about like, okay, let's talk about this. Why are you feeling this way? Never once does he ever yell at me or we bicker all the time.
Constantly.
All the time. Constantly. And it's actually funny because when he says something's red, I'm going to say it's blue just because I like to bicker with him, I think. But we rarely argue because I think we both know that we're coming from a good place. So like he'll stop and go, why are you feeling that way? Versus like feeling personally attacked. Or if he does get offended, like he's actually the one that comes up to me and apologizes even when it's my fault sometimes, but I'll let him apologize to me for my faults.
That's the key.
But yeah, I think just communication and just talking about how you're feeling and trying to be proactive versus reactive. Yeah. Like, hey, this has been kind of on my mind versus like blowing up and going, you've been doing this for months. I'm guilty of that. And he's like, just tell me. So
the interesting thing actually about that question though is that, and this, she might think that this is not true. And I think there's part of it that is, we just did this by accident, but my parents are still married, right? And they've been married for I don't know how many years now, a lot.
Longer than you've been alive.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And my mom always said that, especially as a couple, so they do everything together, right? They work together, they now play golf. I mean, like they are together 24 hours a day, always together. But they've always kind of been like that. My mom said, at the end of the day, two people they're always going to grow, right? So any relationship, you're always going to grow. The question is, are you going to grow apart or are you going to grow together? So for them, they just did everything together and they just grew together, right? If they'd done everything separately, and this is not right for everybody, I don't think, but they don't everything separately, then they probably would have grown apart versus growing together. And I think like indirectly because we do everything together, whether she likes it or not, right? But I think there is a level of that kind of like grows our bond or whatever because we're just always around. So we don't like, you know, like we seek time where like, okay, she'll go take a 4-hour bath, right?
Or I'll sit in the car. I'll sit in the car for an hour before I come inside.
Yeah, and that's fair, right?
Yeah.
But I think just being honest in communication and just, you know, not like we bicker, but like drama. There's no drama.
No,
I'm not a drama person anyway. Like,
no drama.
Aside from what you might have seen in some of my videos, where I say things that might like drive a little bit of interaction, if you will.
Yeah.
But that's just YouTube stuff because that's what you have to do to have business on YouTube.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm gonna do Piggy's because this is a good hair question. What is the best part position for a full face with long curtain bangs? I've read center part, side part, wherever the natural part is, etc. So confusing.
That's a great question. Funny backstory, actually, Peggy, which this is gonna. So if any of you here right now are fans with Glam Girl Gabby, okay, she's awesome. We love Gabby. But the funniest thing is, she actually did a video a long time ago. We did a video together, but she had done one about curtain bangs, and she says you should part it down the center, right? Even with full face, she'll say dead center. And I say, absolutely not, okay? Now, part of the point here is that different stylists are gonna tell you different things. Mm-hmm. Now, the reason that I say that you shouldn't, and I'll explain why, I think I'm right. I can say that because Gabby would crack up laughing. I'd say this directly to her. So the reason that I think that you shouldn't write down the face is because a center part means, just by nature, right? Think about it. If your hair part's in the center, you cannot get volume on the top at all. You don't have the ability to because your hair's parted right there. So where's the volume going to come from if hair's like this? There's no hair here to create volume. If I move that part over, now there's hair here to create volume. If we're trying to elongate a face, then we're trying to add a little bit of volume on top and remove the volume to the sides to get more of an elongation on the face, because that's, if your face is too full, you're trying to work against it, which means that you're trying to elongate it, so you want a little bit more length. Volume on top is going to do that. So from that perspective, having them from a side that come over, even though it still breaks over your forehead a little bit, which that will also add fullness because it shows less of your forehead, it doesn't really matter because you get a little bit more volume here on top. So overall, it's still helping to elongate a bit. To me, I say that's the direction to go. And more often than not, people have a part, it's more natural for you to have a part on one side or the other. Which side is irrelevant, just to one side versus down the center. But a center that goes like this, it's going to, there's no other option for it, but if you think about it, do this, you're gonna have a frame right here. This is gonna focus fullness on your cheeks. The second you add fullness like this, right, you focus that eye there, you're adding width. There's no getting around it. That's just how it works. But if I do this even, now this offset is a little bit less focused right here. It's focused here and it's opening it up there a little bit more. Might seem weird. I wish I had a visual to show you that, but if I had it before and after, you'd see it immediately. So I'm right. Sorry, Gabby.
I love you, Gabby.
Yeah, we love her. She's awesome.
What to do if just the top layer of hair is super frizzy? Leave-in conditioner, mask, and oil doesn't work. I don't want to have to blow dry all the time.
My thought might be that the shampoo is actually causing that. Sometimes shampoos can actually cause this kind of frizz in your hair. And so the first thing that I would do is, so if you put an iron in it, right? If your hair is not naturally curly, if your hair is straight typically, and you put an iron in your hair at 350, 400 degrees, and it still gets really frizzy there, like it doesn't matter, almost guaranteed that is a product that is doing that to your hair. That is a shampoo, usually, or conditioner, usually shampoo, that's doing that to your hair. So I would switch up the shampoo, and it might take a little while before you see that actually like go, like that be dealt with. But it's usually heat will take care of it if it's just frizz. But if it's not, that's shampoo. I'm like, I've seen it. It's usually like, not that you're using this, but for better explanation, like it'll be like really bad, like Pantene. So not all cheap products are bad. However, in many cases when I see this kind of stuff, it also happens to be that it's like a really cheap, like if you're using like hand soap, right, bar soap or something, that could happen, something like that. Not that you are, but that's just where I typically see that kind of stuff.
What do I do if weight loss is making chunks of hair fall out?
I'd go to a doctor. I mean, I don't mean to sound rude,
yeah,
but I would go to a doctor and have levels checked, have your hormones checked, have nutrients. Like have your blood ran, right? Get some blood work done and see. It could be iron deficiencies. It could be a lot of different things, but you need to figure out what's causing that. It's not actually uncommon at all to go through weight loss and because it's a lot of stress on your body to have that kind of stuff present itself, right? Hair thinning out, textural changes, stress can do that as well. So go get your blood work done, see what's lacking, and see if there's some way that you can address it that way.
Yeah. Are stylists trained on dealing with clients with disabilities or injuries? I have a neck and injury and always find it hard to explain to stylists to be gentle in the neck area and washing. They don't bother.
Honestly, that's a crap stylist. That's rude. I get it, but that's the truth.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, are we trained to do anything differently? No, we're not trained to do anything differently. And I'll tell you, this is going to sound arrogant, and it's not meant to be, but I went to one of the best schools in the world for hair, and I was not trained how to deal with somebody if they've got like a disability, or how to help them understand how to manage their hair, or how to work around that in a salon. And I can promise you that the rest of the schools also definitely don't train on that. So unfortunately, you're not going to get a person that just inherently knows how to manage it. The fact that you tell somebody, a stylist, hey, I have a neck injury, and my be careful when you're shampooing. If you tell me that in a salon, my first question is, can we shampoo your hair without leaning you back? Because I also have to think of a liability now, right? Like, am I going to do something that's going to pinch your neck and we're going to cause problems? This could be, there needs to be other thought in that, and your comfort level needs to be at the utmost on this. So if they're not taking that into account at all, and they're just like, I don't care, that triggers me a little bit just as a stylist. It makes me annoyed because good stylists will care. They should care. You deserve them to care. And in that case, like, they're just, I hate saying find another stylist, but find another stylist.
Yeah, definitely. I like this because I get this on occasion. Any tips for styling with the widow's peak and dealing with cowlicks in the back? Yeah,
so cowlicks, we will be having a video that we post. There'll be a link in the description to explain kind of more about how to do that, because that's kind of a visual thing I want to show you. But it's similar in the front. She has a widow's peak. It's back and forth. I call it non-directional drying. In the video, you'll see exactly what that looks like. But it's really just drying it one side, then the other side, then down, then back. What you don't want to do is try to go just one direction, because it's really hard to get control out of it after you go just that one direction. You almost should be able to kind of go either way with your hair and get it to function pretty well if you're drying it correctly, which is non-directional.
I mean, the only thing, me as a lady with widow's peak, it definitely makes things a little bit more challenging. Like when I go blonde, I usually don't have that colored, because then it looks very weird. I used to actually shave it, and I see some people do that now, but I used to dislike it a lot. But now I love it because it makes me unique, and just kind of I would say just work with what you can, because it does. Because people always ask how I get this lift. I have cowlicks. So I'm just working with what God gave me. My cowlick just creates that bend.
And so that's part of the thing too, is part of it though, like if you've got a widow's peak, the probability is high that it's going to be growing back this way, right? More than it grows down. And so it's going to give you a little bit of volume, so you can work it to your favor.
Bangs are a little more difficult.
Bangs is where you're going to find the issue. And in that case, you have to go back and forth with it. That's the only way you're going to get control over it at all. And then if you get control over it like that, then you'll be able to have control over it.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, we're gonna get a couple more, and then we're gonna get out of your guys' hair, because I feel bad now that we're gonna.
I think that was actually the last. Oops, your thingy's going. There we go. And we can do this one. Where in LA can I get a great bob haircut? We actually have a list of hairstylists around the country. We'll be sure to link that in the description, so you can click on it, and then it'll just send you like a PDF of locations.
You know what's funny though? I actually want to do a video. I've got it written. You can't see this wall over here, but there's a wall over here, and I've got video ideas. And one of the ideas is actually about I want to find different bob hairstylists around the U.S. and just like seek them out and just do basically a breakdown, because it's such a popular cut. And a lot of people don't realize that bobs, to do them well, they're one of the more technical haircuts. They're one of the harder haircuts, which is why you see so many messed up that don't, there's why you're looking for somebody that actually does it well, because not as many people do. So I want to be able to find a bunch of them and then just send everybody to them, because there's some great stylists out there.
Yeah. So I think that's about it.
Alrighty. Well, I appreciate you all hanging out with us today. Thank you so much. Go ahead and make sure you check the description of this because we're going to have links to all of the products, all the videos that we talked about for reference. And then otherwise, if for some reason you don't find any of those videos down there, then after this is loaded up, go look over here and you will find a great video. I'll see you over there. All right. You guys have a great one. Thanks for hanging out. And we'll see you next live, which might be next week. Yes. Say goodbye.
Bye.
I'm going to try to get this over here.